Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tub Takes. Today we are live on twitch.tv /Tub Nation TV, and I am joined by three special guests, most notably international champion Carson Confer. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Nice to be
What's
here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It's been a while, and you just came off a regional top cut as well, top eight at Orlando. So I'm excited to hear your input on the metagame.
Excited to give it.
And then I'm also joined by Alex Underhill, my co-host. How are you?
Howdy, peeps.
And then last but not least, I'm joined by Freezai. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm happy to be a part of the VGC community now.
Yeah, it's
Let's
it,
go.
it's great to have you. You're also coming off a top cut at Orlando Regionals, which was your first event, and you made a really good video, like over detailing your experience there. So I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on VGC.
Is this
I'm
another?
excited to share it.
Is this another four times Orlando Top Cut? I
It is.
just realized.
Yeah, we all did
We all
top cut
did
It
top
Orlando.
is,
cut.
yeah.
All right,
Um,
Adi, we have enough people to keep doing this for like I don't know, 32 minus 2, 15, 15 more episodes.
yeah. Well,
Sounds
so next week is of course the Oceania International Championships. That is what you see on screen is our rating for it. It's not the biggest event. I think it's capped at like 350 people. Actually, Alex, do you know what the cap was?
It was like 200 something. But you know what? I registered for the event, so let me open up. What is the Arcanine? That's where I look. Yeah.
But yeah, so today the main topics we're going to be talking about are we're going to talk about the metagame changes from since Orlando. Maybe look at some tournament results. Preview the Oceania International Championships, which is the big event happening this upcoming weekend, which you will see Alex Underhill on stream at when he wins the event.
That's me.
There's some news about the circuit as well that we want to talk about and speculate on. And we also want to answer some questions. And then, of course, I'm excited to hear from Freezai because you, of course, have a very different perspective on VUC. And so I'm really excited to hear your takes on the circuit and on some of these questions that our viewers have asked us. So that's kind of the plan for today. And then, of course, on Wednesday, this will be going up on YouTube over on my channel at youtube.com/CK49. All right, Alex, you got a number?
Oh yeah. I was just wondering when I should jump in with it. Right now it says 348. I think that's mixed divisions, of course. So um, probably around 300 and maybe a little bit more. I don't know. What did we see at Orlando? It was like pretty small for seniors and juniors.
There were
I think it's
44
usually
juniors and seniors at
44.
Orlando.
Okay.
Okay, 44 non-masters, sure. And then oh, that's another thing. We were talking about 10% no show after Liverpool and San Diego. What did we see there, Ali? Do you have an idea?
I don't know what the no-show rate was. I think it might have been
Uh,
lower because they like opened up registration to the last minute, and because like you could drop your registration and get a refund until pretty late, until like the Thursday before the event. So, but that being said, I also know there were some flight problems for some people, and so I'm not actually sure what the no-show rate was.
oh, here we go. Seeing
Oh, hold
800.
on.
Oh, 826 has got to be the total number, huh? That actually played in it. I don't know if they will tell me the number.
It was like 780 that played in the event, and 850 was it capped at 850.
850 mixed divisions.
Yeah, and then 780 masters played.
780. Wait, 850 mixed divisions. That's like ignoring the like no shows for. If you're saying like all juniors and seniors showed up,
It'd be 26 no shows.
that's like so small.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
what is the
like
ratio on that?
That's less
2.5%.
than Pokemon Go too, right?
It's like looking at like 3-ish% or something. Wow.
Mhm.
What were you saying about Go?
It's less than Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is tiny, and like juniors and seniors were less than Pokemon Go.
Oh
In
yeah,
that
no, that's
event.
pretty typical. That's pretty par for the course, honestly. The the point or the reason behind that is just entry fees. It's pretty hard to justify spending $70 for your 8-year-old to click buttons against other 8-year-olds that have been coached by top players and told exactly
Yeah.
what to do, given flowcharts to follow.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's such a weird dynamic too, because the top 8 juniors and seniors, and more so for juniors, they get a ton of money to travel the world, and so there really is a huge incentive, especially for parents, to make sure their kids are doing really well. But then, you can't show up as an 8-year-old with your in-game team. It's not going to be fun for you to go 0-5 at a regional. They're going to be like crying on their way out probably. So like, if they have any awareness of VGC, it's really hard to justify paying that much unless you're taking it really seriously. And how do you make the jump to take it really seriously? Is
I used
really...
to
Go ahead.
without
I used to
there's no
coach
way.
my little brother so I could get his travel awards back in
Yeah.
like 2018.
Yep. See, those are the type of people I'm telling you about, Freezai. Like, that is what
It's
you're going up
lucrative.
against. That is what the 8-year-olds are going up against. You know, it's just not a very easy game, and especially without locals right now, which we'll get to talking about locals later, more speculative stuff. But without locals, it's going to be pretty hard for people to get into the game. It's also kind of related to one of the questions we got on, I think, your tweet, Adi, where people were saying, "Do you think these numbers will hold?" Why don't we just like address that question right now?
Sure.
What do you think, Adi? Because you're the one with a mind for this type of stuff. Do you think the numbers are going to steadily go down?
I think I'm trying to find the tweet itself, but I think that the numbers will steadily go down. It's just kind of an inevitability.
Right.
As
Right.
Like, I think I met a lot of people at Orlando who said, this is my first event. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I got into competitive Pokemon during the pandemic, and this is like a bucket list thing for me. I've always wanted to go to a real Pokemon tournament, and I imagine a lot of those people didn't do too well, or they brought like more casual teams, and they got to meet Wolf. They might have gotten to meet Freezai, and some of the other big names. I think who was the other one? Shady Penguin, right? Is that the one who was there? Uh,
Shady Penguin, yeah.
yeah, he was there. So like, I know a lot of people were really excited to meet some of the bigger names there, and then I think they're like, okay, I've checked that off. I've done it. This was a fun experience, and then they're not going to justify spending a couple $100s to travel to Knoxville, Tennessee. That being said, we did have 600, 700 people at Knoxville, Tennessee right now. So who really knows?
I'm gonna check how many there are because I'm registered for that one. It's,
What would you attribute the
764.
increase to? Like, what do you think caused the increase? Like Wolfie or just general
You're talking about
awareness,
for,
or like what do you think?
you're talking about for like
we
Gen
had
9?
800. Yeah, Gen 9. Or is it typical for beginning?
I think it's probably just new generation, new format. Not necessarily not necessarily like Series 2 being the new format, but just like, I mean, the games are still so fresh. Orlando is a pretty
Right.
accessible area. Like, the only reason I went to Orlando is because after San Diego, I was like, "Ah, man, I've got a thirst to play more Pokemon. How much are the flights? Sub $100 round trip? Okay, I guess I am booking this." Like, it is just so cheap to get there. The first tournament of Sword and Shield's lifespan was in Dallas, another place that's really easy to get to.
That was huge. That was like 560 players.
Yeah, it was five. It
Huge.
was
That's just average.
very right. I know at this point, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. I don't know. Is there like a FOMO factor? Because like events. So that was before the pandemic, and then after
Gotta
the
be the
pandemic,
Switch. That's my thinking.
what's that?
It's gotta be the Switch because
Yeah, that's
the
true.
Ultra Series regionals were like 30 players when they were on the
Yep.
3DS, and they
Mhm.
switched to the Switch, and 2 months later we're getting 560 entrants.
Yeah, and I really do think that was a big part of it, especially for the younger players. Where I don't know, I didn't know a ton of like 16-year-olds who had a 3DS anymore. That's an old console. It was way past its lifespan when Sword and Shield came out, and so I don't think we were getting a ton of younger players to start playing. A lot of the players were in their 20s, and so I imagine that the combination of with the Switch, Dallas being super accessible made Dallas a really big regional. I don't think Collinsville was that big. It was like 200 something, right, in 2020.
I think so.
But then I think that the pandemic really made competitive Pokemon a lot more popular We obviously saw Wolf blow up. Freezai, I'm not sure what your channel growth looked like. Did you grow a ton during the pandemic?
I grew about 100K subscribers in the year of 2022, so that
Oh,
tracks, yeah, the pandemic.
okay, yeah. Um,
There you go.
and so, yeah, I think the pandemic, like a lot of people were stuck indoors and they were like, well, I'm going to play video games. And then when you start playing Pokemon again, you're like, oh, I feel like I can take this seriously. You start getting into these YouTubers, content creators, you start getting into it competitively. You start playing with your friends and wanting to be better than them. Um, and it's just a great game to play online with your friends. And Sword and Shield did a really good job of making it so you could play online with your friends in like a collaborative way. And so I think that the pandemic actually really helped competitive Pokemon grow. And a lot of people, I think, were fiending to go to an event. Even in 2022, normally, these GS Cup formats at the end of a generation, no one wants to go to these events except every single regional in 2022 in North America sold out, and most of them sold out within like 10 minutes. You know?
Yep.
So I think that we could have hit the 300, 400 people for most of these regionals, especially regionals like New Jersey, which is in a super accessible area and was just limited by COVID restrictions and like a limited space.
Personally, know that I would have gone to New Jersey if the cap hadn't sold out in 10 minutes because I figured out a day later that I wanted to go and it was already full.
Yep.
So that's why I think that I think like this has been a long time coming. I think that it's not surprising that the game blew up in the way it did. I'm just not sure if, and I think a lot of people have been wanting to go to an event for a while. I just don't know if these numbers are going to hold come 2025 when people are stuck playing with Xerneas and with what's it called? I don't Miraidon, and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and are going to be sick of having to deal with these like crazy powerful Pokemon instead of their like quirky strategies that you get to do right now.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think the high entry fees are also going to start deterring more and more players. Like, I know most of the players in Masters are adults, so they do have $70, but like, if you're the type of person who's going like 2, 3 to start every regional, you're going to get to a point where you're like $70 to go 2, 3. I don't know, man. That's a lot of money.
Yep. No, they'll do it, once or twice, but only the dedicated players are going to do that, 5, 6, 7 times a season. So, um, for internats and regionals included.
Yeah, but I mean, someone has to go 2, 3, 1, 3 at every event. It's just how Swiss works, so.
I mean, for sure. It's my favorite thing to say after round one every time is I feel like half the people lost every
Yeah.
time. Every time.
So yeah, Frieza, do you feel like, as someone who is just getting into VGC, do you feel like this is something that you're going to be doing for a long time, or is this like a one-off year for you?
I I could see myself doing it for a long time, and the reason is that it hits different when you're playing. You're like when you're online jerking with your friends. It's fun, it's cool, right? But actually doing that in real life, it feels different. It's more fun to me. Like, maybe the adventure of going to a new city, like I've never been to Orlando, maybe that'll wear off eventually. But just conceptually going out, hanging out with friends, I think it's something I doing for a while. The only limitation would be, once you start having more obligations. But the idea, like, if you can afford it, I definitely do think regionals are fun to go to. Or maybe it's because I won a little bit, but
Yeah.
that's my opinion. I do like it. I do like it so far.
That's awesome to hear.
I totally agree. I mean, honestly, having been on the losing end of a lot of regionals, I think it's still fun, even if you aren't doing too hot, because you get to see your friends do well a lot of times, and you get to hang out with people anyways. It's not nearly as fun, but it does still feel good to see everyone. And then also, if you haven't been to internats yet, but internats are really fun. They're a really good time, just because. And this is what I tell a lot of players ask me, like, hey, I can go to one event. Which one should I go to? And I just say you have to go to internats if you can. You can justify going to Columbus, Ohio, which is obviously not super easy to get to if you're in North America. I think European internats is in London, which is a little easier to get to. Might even just be cheaper to get to from parts of North America than Columbus. But it's like a 4-day event. It starts. You get there on Thursday. You have to check it on Thursday. everyone just hangs out on Thursday. It's a good time. You get to see all these people from all over the world. There's always like a big VGC soccer game that we might have outgrown, but like, that's just like the one universal language. And then we all, Friday, everyone plays. Most people get eliminated on Friday because unless you make day 2, you're out. Some people walk home happy with championship points. A lot of people don't. And then you just have 2 days to hang out with your friends and like party or just walk around the city, enjoy Columbus, Ohio, which is actually like a pretty nice city for what it is. And I just think Internats are so much fun.
That's what I'm going to be doing.
It's nice for Ohio.
Surprisingly, not a bad city. You would think Columbus would be terrible, but it's not really that bad.
Yeah, for Ohio, it's pretty okay. But yeah, okay.
Do we even know where Nats is this year in NA?
It briefly leaked. They put a location and a date, I think, on the website, and they took it down. And they put it in Columbus.
It was in Columbus? Okay. I was like, is that place going to be... Not to bring, like, real-life stuff into it too much, but, like, is that place going to be okay? I don't know how close that is to the stuff that's been going on in Ohio lately.
Oh, that train thing?
Yeah, right? Hopefully it's not too close to there. I don't want to have to go anywhere near that. But let's move away from that topic.
You don't want to put the news on screen?
I also think I want to spend time on it. So let's go ahead and move forward with things. I guess we haven't really gotten into the thick of things. We've just been mostly just kind of chatting. We have registrations coming up, right? We haven't mentioned that yet, Eddie?
Yeah, okay. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to answer your question about how far away East Palestine is from Columbus.
Okay.
Okay. You know what? It's pretty far. East Palestine is basically Pittsburgh. So, you've got actually like a pretty decent distance. A full 200 miles away. Sure. We should be okay. So, no worries about Columbus. But point taken about Ohio in general. They did just decide to blow up those chemicals and not think about the consequences.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to Pokemon. There are 2 regionals that are dropping their registration in North America in the next couple of days. So the first is going to be I might have opened this one for Charlotte Regionals twice.
Nice.
Fort Wayne. Here we go. So Fort Wayne Regionals in Indiana, my home state, sort of one of my many home states, is dropping their regional sign up, whatever you want to call it, on Tuesday. So tomorrow, as of stream.
Where I come from, Marty, we say registration goes live.
Registration goes live.
Those are the orders of the English words we usually use.
Yes. Okay. So registration goes live for Fort Wayne, Indiana, on Tuesday, which is tomorrow if you're watching live on Twitch. Yesterday, if you are watching on YouTube. And so if you are watching on YouTube, you should maybe go sign up now because we don't know how long registration is going to last.
It may be too late.
My hope is that Fort Wayne is a cheap enough city to host a tournament in that they should get a pretty big space, kind of like Knoxville, and it won't cap for a long time. It's also not the easiest place to get to, although it is a 2-hour drive from Chicago, Indianapolis, and Detroit. So that's a lot of options to fly into and carpool, and a lot of people can drive to this regional. I think that it's going to, it wouldn't shock me if it had Knoxville numbers. It also wouldn't shock me if it had Knoxville registration time where it only caps, a couple weeks before the event.
If we're talking about Fort Wayne, I have to mention, of course, that I am the still current reigning Fort Wayne regional champion. From 2017 all the way back. The funny story there is that right after 2017, they got rid of it. I think they replaced it with something else.
Indeed.
Maybe Indianapolis regionals. And then 2019, I think it's normally post Worlds. And wait, no, we still had a season post Worlds 2019. Where was it? Oh, you know what? 2019, it was moved from the normal fall time that it's hosted to in May, and the season was canceled before May, so that was going to be my chance to defend it. So then season gets canceled, and I'm still your Fort Wayne regional champion forever. Then finally they announce the upcoming regionals. It was when the season comes back, it was not part of them. I think we only had like Milwaukee for like the Midwest, maybe some other ones.
We had Indy.
Yeah, Indy. Oh yeah, and Indy. Okay.
Mhm.
And then Worlds comes around. The regional schedule leaks or like gets announced like on day one of Worlds, and they announce a bunch of regionals, but they don't announce like two of them. They for some reason they just the next day after they announced like all of them, they say, "Oh yeah, also I guess we forgot Fort Wayne too." So there was just a lot of back and forth, but Fort Wayne is finally back and it's finally coming up, and I finally have to defend myself.
Yeah, and I'm excited to. I'll be there too. And Carson, I imagine you're going because it seems drivable.
12 hours. I don't
No,
know.
I was gonna
That's-
say, wait, what?
I don't know. That seems drivable.
All the drivable regionals from Oklahoma were TCG and Go only, which was very
Oh,
very
yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
Because there were two within like 4 to 6 hours, and both of them had no VGC. So
That's
I was very
messed
bummed
up.
about that.
Yeah, I was sad
Yeah.
too. Now that I live in Texas, I was like, man, I would love to go to Dallas regionals and play VGC. I just couldn't because it wasn't there.
I know.
And the
That
games
was
are
did
out.
that to me
a
with-
great
could-
time too.
Yeah.
They did that to me with Peoria. Peoria, like normally they do Collinsville regionals, and that one is really nice because it's. I mean, technically in my state it's still 4 hours to drive, but then they moved it closer to me, which is with Peoria, and then that one was just like TCG only.
Okay, you want my
But,
actual tub take? My tub take is
Yeah,
that
go on.
they should have started Series 1 in December instead of January. So Series 1 was longer. It would have been a fun format. It would have been a huge mess because the games just came out and people had to
Yep.
figure out like what was good without like a whole month lead up.
What was in
which-
December though?
Not there were like
Dallas.
3 regionals. There's Peoria came out after the games
Okay.
came out. There was Toronto and there was Dallas. So we would have had 3 regionals in that time period in North America.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're right. You're right. Peoria, Toronto. Yeah.
And I
Really
think
awesome.
one of the coolest spectator experiences for me, right as I was getting into the game, was 2017 European Internats, where it was 2 weeks after the game's released. And so, no, I mean, I know that was a huge, mess of an event as far as logistics goes. A lot of people like flew out and didn't get into the event. Not that that's super uncommon anymore, apparently. But yeah, it was really fun as a spectator because it came out. It started just after the game's released. No one knew it was good. Everyone was keeping like all their hidden tech secret, and it was just like a super diverse field. And as a spectator, it was so much fun to watch, and that really shaped the metagame long term. And so I thought that I would love to see that have happened again in Series 1, and then also Series 1 would have actually lasted for a little longer because it was a really fun format to play.
No, I agree with that. But I think what we got ended up being a lot better, Audie, because we took the whole fall off, and now our structure, they did all that restructuring, and the circuit is just perfect. So I don't think you realize how good we got it.
It's true. It could
The
have been
other
a
one-
lot worse. We could have been playing Dynamax at Dallas Regionals.
Gross.
Um,
Don't bring that up.
So to keep things moving, we got. I think we
actually-
maybe we did
Oh,
Charlotte.
while
Charlotte's
this is
the
on-
one on Wednesday.
While this is on screen right now, Knoxville Regionals did fill up, so there are no more passes available. But if you didn't get it and you want to go, there will be some seats made available
True.
a week from today. So actually, right after we go live next week, there will be some seats available. So that is something that you should be aware of if you are planning to go to Knoxville and haven't signed up yet, just because it's already on the page. But
True. No, that is a good thing to remind people of. I forgot about that one entirely. Yeah, if you're really fiending to go to Knoxville, the opportunities might open up.
and then
Yeah, Wednesday, Charlotte Regionals. So we have that going on this week as well. If you're going to that one, anybody here doing Charlotte? I will not be.
I will be doing Charlotte.
Let's go.
Yo.
Nice. Is that your next one, Freezai?
No, I'm doing Vancouver and then Charlotte, and then after.
Oh,
that,
is that
I'll
the
figure it
order?
out.
Sure.
Yeah,
Vancouver's
for me.
first. Okay.
Yeah, Vancouver is 2 weeks before Charlotte. I'm thinking about Charlotte because I'm doing Vancouver, and then I'm going straight to South Carolina for a spring break family vacation.
Okay.
So I'm trying to make Charlotte work, but
Mhm.
I don't know if I can miss that much work.
Yeah. It might be hard, but that would be cool if
Go
you could make it up to that
Vancouver for
one.
a full week as well. So That'll be fun.
Oh, that
Um,
is fun.
I will be. I think I've decided. I've been going back and forth about whether I want to do Charlotte and then Fort Wayne the next weekend, where there are different formats. One's gonna be Series 2, one's gonna be Series 3, most likely. And I think I'm just
Oh,
gonna do
wow, we
both.
didn't mention that yet. We did
Yeah.
not mention that yet. Fort Wayne is on April 1st. It sounds like a prank,
Yep.
Okay.
because
That actually changes my mind about things. I did not realize that either.
yeah,
I'll
Fort
have to
Wayne.
think about this.
Friday, literally Friday is like the 31st, and you will be competing on Saturday the 1st, which the Battle Stadium ladder should be rolled over, but like then again, will it be? Because like we've always seen they take a couple hours to make the ladder go live. I don't think they've given us word on what we're going to be playing at that event.
They have
But
not.
signups go up in 2 days, or tomorrow, so have fun.
I think that
Actual
it
matches.
should be Series 3. If you told me it was Series 2, I think I would actually be very happy. But yeah, like
Yeah,
I do. I am planning on it being Series 3 and just sucking it up and saying I'm going to play 2 different events in 2 different weekends and hopefully have a comfort team that I can roll up to Charlotte Regionals with and put my prep into whatever Series 3 ends up being. Or maybe Series 3 just isn't actually all that different because they just don't decide to release the Calamity Mons.
They released just one of them.
I'd be so surprised if it's not just
Live Wochi interaction.
No, I mean I'm down. Honestly, that would have the least impact on the meta. Just give us the snail. No one's gonna cry about the snail. I will have a lot of tears to shed if they give us the other ones. Though me and Tinglu are chill. But yeah, that's that's funny. So Adi, I restructured things. The next thing I wanted to talk about because I just think it fits most is talking about the TCG invite bar.
Good point. Yeah.
Um,
So, for those who didn't
Go
know,
ahead.
the trading card game has updated the number of championship points required to get a Worlds invite. They, of course, had a full season. They did have regionals in the fall, so they did their normal bar, which was 500 points for a Worlds invite in North America as a master. I'm not sure what the bar was. I think it's 400 in Europe. I couldn't tell you exactly what it was for the other regions, but they dropped it. They dropped it again. We're all in North America, so I really only know about that. But they dropped it from 500 to 350 points for a Masters.
That is a steep drop. Like first off, like that's like quite a bit. 150 points is an event or two, like a major or two off of your schedule, and that's the
potentially
important
3.
thing to mention. It could be 3. It's important to mention that because, well, yeah, where would you normally make up those points? And of course, that is locals, and so that is people are already starting to mention it in chat, but that is where the speculation takes you. Why did they drop the bar? Was it because they saw like, oh, not enough people are qualifying for Worlds, or we had we intended on more people qualifying for Worlds at this point. We want to have more people go to Japan or something, or is it because they originally planned on bringing back locals and are now coming to realize that is not going to happen? A lot of people are. That's where a lot of people are talking about. Their minds are jumping to.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, like, your first event, Freezai, was Orlando, right? And
Yeah.
would you like if you had the chance, like, to go to a smaller level event, like in your area? Is that something that you would have taken the opportunity to do, or would you have just like wanted to attend one of the majors?
Well, it depends like how long does it take, but if it's typically like 1 day only, I definitely would do a local.
It is. Locals are just
Okay,
1 day
then
only.
yeah. Do a
It's-
local. There actually is a local in my area next week, but they're not like
Oh, grassroots.
not obviously like grassroots exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, that's the thing is, like, locals, they run Swiss and then Top Cut. They've done mix in the past, like sometimes best of 1, best of 3. I think that's actually up to the TO's discretion.
Yep.
Yeah, we haven't actually had to deal with open team sheets since that's new, and locals have not been around since the introduction of open team sheets, so that we can only guess as to how those would be handled at the local level. But yeah, typically you just showed up. It was a lot more of a casual thing. I don't know if they did battle box locking. They just like had you fill out a team sheet, and you would just play a number of rounds of Swiss until a top cut, and just play the top cut right afterwards. Normally, you would only have about like 5 rounds of Swiss, maybe 6 if it was a really big local. Yeah, and that was pretty much it. It was just kind of like it was like a bit of a longer day. The tournaments would start early and go into the evening, but that it was just like a 1 day thing.
Uh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I wasn't saying anything.
Yeah. Okay. So they were fun. They were, I guess, to give a recap, since a lot of people, I guess, haven't had locals before. There were like two levels. There were mid-season showdowns and there were premier challenges. Premier challenges were smaller. TOs could host them, I think, once a month. And so depending on how many organizers in your area, you might have had them pretty frequently, like every weekend, or a little like more infrequently, like once a month. And those awarded, I think, 30 championship points for a winner, 16 for the runner-up, and a little less for people who did worse than that. And then for mid-season showdowns, were slightly bigger events where you got 50 points for the winner. Was a 40 for second place, 32 for third, those are like pretty significant. I mean, 150 points is 3 mid-season showdowns, ideally. And so that is like, I think 150 points is what a player who like doesn't even like fully commit to locals, but goes like reasonably frequently and does pretty well, could expect to get in a year. So that's like that amount that they lopped off. I actually don't know how easy or hard it is to get points at TCG locals, but that for
They are
VGC
a
that's
little bit
kind of
different.
yeah, and I think the payouts are the same for their equivalent tournaments, and that kind of like 150 points is like, okay, you went to 4 mid seasons, got top 32, got top 4, went to a few premier challenges, got top 4, you got 150 points, like pretty average season. If you didn't even do too well, that's kind of the amount of points they took off, and it really does seem like that just means locals aren't coming back.
150 points now is getting like second at the event, huh? Second out of 800
For
would get
PCP, it's
you
like
160, right?
1,600 people.
And I
Yep.
guess reflecting on what that means for VGC, if we don't have locals, the 300 point bar, it's not easy. Like you have to. I was thinking about this before Orlando. I could cut 4 regionals and still miss a Worlds invite. Like that's brutal.
The
That's
key is it's more important than ever to attend your region's international, you know? International points are pretty insane. You can't do it at just those because to get the 300 minimum, you would have to get top 4. I believe top 4 pays out 320 championship points. Um, but, if you have a regional finish or two, you can, or maybe 3, I don't know. Internats is going to boost you a long way because the points do go down pretty far. Like top 64 is rewarding like 130
Yep.
or something.
and
And
Yeah.
so,
especially given the numbers we've been having this year, it wouldn't shock me if we had top 256 CP, which I think the cutoff is 800 people, and I think they get 80 championship points for that. So if you can
I hope
get
they don't rob us of a big international. The signups for that haven't gone live yet, but we're about to talk about Oceania, and Oceania is one that got capped pretty hard. We already mentioned the number here, 348. It filled up in about an hour and a half. It didn't fill up like super, super fast, but I heard that it was also not the best time for a lot of Australian people. It was like pretty early morning, even earlier for the West Coast, like Australian West Coast players over in like that area, like by Perth and stuff. So yeah, I mean,
7 a.m.
and
local time.
they also they also had
Oh, sorry.
to they also had to make room. They had like spots reserved for people like me with travel awards, and so there's like a good number of travel award people who are just eating up the spots of Australian locals that want to attend their only international in their region, for the season. Pretty crazy. I do hope that NAIC doesn't get capped something severely.
And I mean, this is an especially big deal for the Australians because, notably, there have not been any events in Oceania. There are 2 people who have CP right now, both from the Open and no one from in the EUSC Travel Awards. So the top 8 placing players from Australia at this event get a free trip to London. Which
Pretty
is
much.
yeah. So that's
Yep.
pretty crazy, and it's a really big deal. The difference between getting to travel to London for a second Internats on top of getting points at this one, and not doing that and having to get a Worlds invite with I think like only 2 regionals announced, is pretty huge. This is a lot of pressure for any Australian players.
That's a good point. I did not realize that because of their lack of any events at all. It is literally just like this is a travel award to EUIC. No matter how far you make it, like oh my God, or like no matter like what prize money you would get for those finishes, it just has that added bonus of a guaranteed like travel award on it too. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh wow.
LATAM is also crazy. I know that Alberto is a good friend of mine, and he caught San Diego, went to Orlando, and bombed. And he was like, yeah, like if I got any points at Orlando, I pretty much locked up a free trip to London. And you can see that he's still number one in CP at LATAM just because he showed up to a regional when no one else did.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, there are going to be presumably 8 people from Latin America going to this event as well, so they can potentially skip ahead. But yeah, no.
It sounds like we're already there. Why don't we jump into the actual preview of the event? Talk about Oceania.
Yeah. That's kind of what I figured we were doing.
Oh, okay, sure. I don't have actually what you're on screen looking at. So.
You're good.
Yeah. I mean, what is there to talk about? There's like, we already talked about the number of people in it, and so where does that land us prize-wise, payout-wise? Let's go look. We're going to be very likely in that 200 to 399 player range, which means 500 CP to first. I mean, of course, that's just guaranteed. Top 64 is championship points. Prize money down to top 32. I think actually the prize money probably caps out at this point, huh? Right?
Caps at 201, I think, for Internats.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're already like at the cap for that, and then I guess points just go down until top 64. Are the things to note there. Let's see what else to mention. Well, I guess there's all the travel awards, and that's probably going to be pretty relevant towards the talk of smart money. Who do we think is going to win this event? I saw this section earlier in the article, Adi, that completely threw me for a loop. It says additionally, the top 4 players in Players Cup 1, 2, and 3 may opt to use their travel awards for this tournament if they have not done so yet. I had forgot about that feature. I had forgot that top 4 players from those Players Cups just got like a free travel award to any Internats, and it wasn't like just the next one. They could choose to when to use it. So like, could just like randomly see like Santino show up, just like I mean, I don't know if he's used his yet.
But I mean, I would if I had cut a Players Cup, I would have absolutely chosen to go to Australia over going to, London, Frankfurt, wherever UIC was last year in the middle of a pandemic. Like, no, I'm taking the fun trip.
Sure. So, I don't know. What should we talk about the metagame first or the players first?
Let's talk about the metagame. And I don't actually have anything pulled up for this, but obviously the only big event of the season so far was what's it called? Why is this showing?
Orlando?
Yeah, Orlando. No, I'm pulling up Victory Road and it's showing me Sword and Shield, and I'm like, why? So it was Orlando Regionals. That was the sort of the only thing we've had as an indicator. And we talked about the metagame at length last weekend, but now I guess we should look a little forward and what we think is going to change. And so I guess I'm just going to open it up as to what are some Pokemon that you guys expect to see overachieve at the Oceania Internats?
Great Tusk.
Great Tusk.
I think we're going to see a lot of Great Tusk. If Ladder has been any indication, I've been seeing like 50% usage of Great Tusk. So I think there's going to be a lot of people with the good old elephant out of Orlando. Or not Orlando, Oceania.
I mean, when you look at a lot of the, top Pokemon on teams, there's a pretty notable lack of Pokemon that are off the ground. It's, at least 2 of them, Arcanine and Iron Hands, 2 of the most popular Pokemon, are weak to ground. There's so many ground weaknesses. We've talked about it so much. Headlong Rush is just kind of a broken move. One Pokemon in the game gets to have access to Tectonic Rage, Z round, because it's just like so much stronger than Earthquake. And it is pretty awesome. I think Great Tusk is just a really cool Pokemon. So, big fan of that guy.
I guess another Pokemon I think is going to do a lot better than it did at Orlando is Goldengo. I mean, obviously that maybe flies in the face of the logic that Great Tusk is going to do a lot better, which I do believe. I think it's a crazy Pokemon. I think Goldengo, given the rise of Gothitelle, I think a lot of people are going to respect it a lot more, and the rise of Perish as well. And Goldengo is maybe the single best answer to that, in that it is immune to Perish Song, and it has the ability to switch out. It resists Gothitelle's attacks, unlike other Ghost type attackers. It has the ability to really set up in its face in front of like more defensive teams. I think it's a really, really strong meta pick. It was not super popular going into. Actually, I mean, it was the seventh most used Pokemon, so I shouldn't say that, but I thought it felt really underwhelming going into Orlando. It's a Pokemon I really enjoy using, and I think now it's a lot better positioned into the metagame, and I think we're going to see it do a lot better. Maybe okay. One counterpoint to that immediately, now that I'm thinking about it, is that Brute Bonnet is also increasing in usage, and so that does kind of make its life miserable. But
I wanna give a shout out to Dane's comment there that says Goldengo and Great Tusk. What is this OU? I think that's really amusing. Oh man.
With Terrasteel, I feel like Brute Bonnet isn't that bad for Goldengo.
Oh yeah. Goldengo
Like,
can just kind of like deal with it.
Like you don't get spored, you go around Rage Powder with Make It Rain.
Mm-hmm.
You can Nasty Plot in front of a Brute Bonnet. Like Terrasteel Nasty Plot is pretty free in front of a Brute Bonnet.
I think the to like not to get too into the weeds with it though is Goldengos are gonna have to choose between an offensive Terra like the Steel or like kind of a mixed one because it's also got defensive applications, or foregoing that ground weakness and going for something like a water or a flying because as we mentioned, Great Tusk is a very threatening Pokemon right now, and Goldengos are going to want to account for that. Oh man, I think mine was just stolen by in chat. I was going to mention Dragonite. Dragonite's my pick as a Pokemon that I think is going to do well. I think it's like pretty well positioned right now. Like the way that I like it is just Inner Focus obviously has its very cool benefits in the Intimidate immunity and Fake Out immunity essentially, but Multiscale is just such a powerful ability, and it honestly is comparable to Mimikyu's Disguise. It is like a front-loaded Focus Sash because of how bulky the Pokemon is and how annoying it can be to take down while it's still at full health. Of course, that's going to run into trouble with another Pokemon that I would like to give a shout out to, which is Tyranitar. Tyranitar is another Pokemon that seems well positioned in the meta. We saw it do pretty well at Orlando. And it is just like kind of a good glue Pokemon. You slap the Assault Vest on it, you Terra Flying it, and it can be really hard to take down. So those are my two picks, the two pseudo legends, I guess.
yeah, especially with Psyspam doing really well at Orlando, and Tyranitar is maybe the best like one mon response to that the Indeedee Armorug pairing. I could definitely see it being a lot more popular going into Oceania. Freezai, did you have any Pokemon or that you thought are going to do better?
I just think Dondozo is going to do just as well as Orlando, but what I was more interested in knowing is that how much does a meta shift from regional to regional or tournament to tournament? Because I don't play too much VGC. I don't know. Like, do we see drastic changes between tournaments or like only incremental stuff typically?
A bit of both, honestly. I would say like the meta slowly shifts towards like you see whether it's flavor of the month, like a lot of people are going to play extra reactively to the teams that did well. Nobody wants to lose to somebody that just ripped a team that succeeded at the last event, and like there's going to be a lot of the casual players who are doing that, and you have to make sure that you're beating those. But it's not like this crazy thing where every tournament is a brand new format or a brand new metagame or something like that. Another thing to consider is there's a bit of a regional metagame aspect. We see that maybe more in other formats than this one, but even still, I think that, like, for example, Australia is known for using a bit wilder strategies. And somebody also just mentioned in chat, Japan, they are known for using even more wild strategies, and some Japanese players are going to be going to this event because it's closer to them. And so you will see some people breaking from the mold, using some stuff that is not quite what you'd expect. Um, but I do agree with your take that Dondozo is just not going to go anywhere. Dondozo is definitely going to still be about as common as it has been.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing to add to that is the one time we do see like large shifts between regionals is when people kind of settle on that one like really good team. Like I know Salt Lake City last year was kind of when Renya's son got brought to North America with Chongjun, and then after that the meta kind of revolved around Renya's son for the rest of the format. But I don't think going into Salt Lake City, people are necessarily thinking about that. Like I know I helped Gavin, like I tested his team before Salt Lake City with him, and it was like a Palkia Groudon team. It like auto lost into Renya-san, and after Salt Lake City, it was just we didn't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the teams that rise to the top are, going to be the ones that push other teams out of the metagame because of how common they might become. I guess is one way to look at it. But there's other things like you can look at this most recent tournament, Orlando. Like the team that rose to the top is not going to have that big of an impact. Wolf won, but many people have said, I think Wolf himself said, it's not a team everyone can pilot. So that's a team that you want to make sure that you don't just auto lose to some scrub who picked up the rental code. But it's another team that as long as you're not sitting across from Wolf piloting it, you're gonna have a lot more of a chance. There are teams that certain players just really tailor to themselves. We can go on and on about players that have teams like that, like Jamie Boyd and some others. But
I mean, we talked about it in our team report. I guess my team report, but Alex,
wait,
of course,
with Wolf?
No, with me and Nails.
I thought you got Wolf on the channel.
Yeah, I wish. Maybe next time. We talked about how we found Wolf laddering with this team and we ripped it. I think Alex, you were the one who did that. You were Justin, I forgot.
Kunal, technically.
Okay, Kunal. Okay, there you go. Shout out to Kunal. We rebuilt it and we were like, I don't understand why these Pokemon are on it. And we took and you guys took the Screamtail off. And I mean, did really well with it too. But you kind of had to remake it to your own tastes. That is just how I think that more than stealing Wolf's team outright, you're going to see ideas being taken. And so you're going to see like Parrish, which of course had 4 slots or 5 slots in top 32, where I guess 4 or 5, depending on how you want to classify Carson's team, which had Parrish without trapping. But we had 5 Parrish teams in top 32. People are going to have to respect the teams that can easily slap a Gothitelle on and have a flex move on your Fluttermane. And you're just like, okay, well now I have a Parrish mode, and you have to respect that. You have to respect like Dindozo, I think is a team that is really interesting because it is like, I feel like it's an exercise in T building, and you see all of these different types of Dindozo teams that did well, and maybe these start to like centralize towards one sort of Dindozo team that you could build around. But as soon as Dindozo starts to centralize, it's really easy to build to beat it. The scary part of Dindozo is its versatility, and so I think it's like,
you heard it here first. It's very easy to build to beat it.
If you give me one Dindozo team specifically, it is very easy to build a team to beat that while still having a good matchup spread. The problem is that you have all of these different Tatsugiri items. You saw like Brian using this like super bulky choice specs Tatsugiri that was my loss in Swiss. You see like Ashton using, I think, Chesto Rest on Dindozo. You see like Leftovers Dozo on Carson's team. Man,
I'm so tired of listening to Adi talk about Dondozo. Why don't we ask the Dondozo players?
That's true.
In the call?
Okay, that's a much better question. Freezai.
We actually got a question in the chat saying Dondozo is a very good showing in Orlando. Is it weaker or stronger in Series 2? And how have the teams adapted to the new Paradox Pokemon? Freezai, do you have anything to add on that?
I feel like it's definitely weaker because you have Iron Fluttermane faster than it. You have Mioscarada got weaker too, but you also have Bonnet. You have to an extent, Iron Hand's not that bad, but Brute Bonnet's annoying. It definitely got worse, but it's still good in my opinion.
I mean, as we saw, we made it to the finals, almost took it all, and it actually had like 4 representations in the top 8, I think, right? Didn't it?
Yep.
Didn't like, comically have like half the bracket, but they were all on the same side of the bracket.
Yeah, we
Um,
were all
Exactly,
on the
yeah.
exact same side of bracket.
yeah, yeah. Wait, Carson, did you get top 8 or top?
You
I
got top
got
8.
top 8. I lost to
Top 8.
Ashton.
Okay, yeah, yeah. You were one of those dozos mentioned. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts, Carson?
I think it's weaker. I think in Series 1, it was really easy to just do a little bit of damage, send it on Dozo, and the format's power level was lower, and you could just sweep like pretty solidly. And I was big on using the Dondozo team that Chuppa used to get second at San Diego. I was in the little group with him and Mike working on that team, and that team, like, you could just basically throw out Dondozo, let it kill 2 Pokemon, sit in Palma, revive Dondozo, send it out again, and then take the last 2 kills. And I don't think you can do strats like that in Series 2. Like, I know Chuppa had Palmot still at Orlando,
But maybe it works
but
less often.
yeah, it's not as consistent of a strategy. Iron Bundle is really, really hard for Dondozo to beat, just because fast freeze dry is very annoying. Like, even if you use speed boosting order up and max speed, you still need like 3 order ups before you outspeed booster bundle. And like, it can run Encore and trap you in Silver Rest. Like, there's just a lot of options to beat Dondozo now. But I think obviously it's still viable. Like, we had half of cut be
Yeah.
Dondozo, but
Mhm.
you just have to work for it more, take some more thought.
Yeah, we see George in chat who also used Sendozo to a top 16 finish. And I know we just had a team report that came out today where he talked about how he started with Choppa's team and ended up replacing the Palm Out with an Iron Hands because it's the same defensive typing, but like does more stuff.
I mean, that's the thing is Dondozo was a Pokemon that stat checked a lot of the format, but when the stats all start to rise to 570 and you can put 3 Paradox Pokemon on a team, there are things that can compete with it in power level.
So I guess my question about Dondozo, and I know that both of you guys are going to events and potentially using it in the future, but I am curious what your takeaways are from the other Dondozo teams that did well, and maybe any ideas that you think might see more play moving forward.
Freezai, you
For
wanna go first?
me, I'll go first. Yeah, for me, funnily enough, for me, the main problem I felt with Dondozo is figuring out how to be consistent versus the Dondozo mirror. Because even while team building, I just can't find a way that I can feel like, okay, I'm good versus opposing Dondozo. But every other strategy, like I can feel like I can play around. Maybe Iron Bundle, I can team build for it a little better. But other Dondozo is where I'm having major issues. So I don't know if that's like a common opinion, but it's definitely what I felt so far.
I mean, you mentioned that, and I have to bring up the fact that Choppa, who made it to top 4, only suffered losses to other Dozo. So, you
Exactly, yeah,
played.
even in his regular season too. Yeah. Oh, day one he only lost to other Dozo. So
That's
Yeah,
what I meant.
I
Like,
was one of his
lost to.
yeah,
losses.
yeah,
I
yeah.
Well,
forgot who the
well, you were
second.
the other one, Carson?
Yeah, I beat him in
Yeah.
Swiss.
Okay, so it was the 2 people here in call. It was Carson and
Oh,
Freezai.
that's
Were able to
funny.
take a game off Chuppa in day 1, and then Chuppa ultimately lost to Ashton in the top 4. Chuppa had a team that could beat anything but other Dozo. It sounds like, and that's just like kind of scary to think about because once Chuppa figures out how to make it so that he's the one that's coming out on top in those Dozo mirrors all the time, what's stopping him? You know?
Tuppa honestly should have beat me. I think I made the greatest play I've ever made in a game of Pokemon in game 3 against him.
Yeah.
I rarely pop off like mid-game, but this was
Oh
just like
no.
the greatest play I've ever made. So he, like game 1, he destroyed me, like 4-0'd me. Game 2, I brought it to a Dozemir when I had 3 Pokemon, he had 2. So he just forfeited, so we didn't have to play the 20 minutes. And then game 3, he had me like back against the wall. I was about to lose, and I called him to
Against
double
the
swap
wall.
to Dozo. I perished as he double swapped,
Okay.
and I won off of that. But Like he definitely should have won. So I think Choppa knows how to beat other Dozo. It's just uh he got some rough luck at
Yeah, for sure, for
Orlando.
sure.
Mhm.
As we
And
saw, I mean, not to rub salt in the wound, but like, he lost to Freezai, but figured that out for the next day. So,
okay,
um,
moving on from Dindoso because I'm
right.
like Alex would say, I'm bored.
Of course, right?
I want one last hot take about OCSC before we talk about the players who are going, which is I want to hear. Give me one Pokemon that is below 5% usage at Orlando
Oh boy, listen to this
that's
guy. I
going to
don't know
make top
numbers,
cut at
bro.
this event.
Numbers? Oh my god. Okay, you know
Just
what?
or
Mine is
any underrated
Mousehold.
Pokemon.
Mousehold. I think is Mousehold to fit the bill.
No, it's 8% usage.
All right, yeah,
It's
no,
too
this
good.
question's dumb. This question's just.
Stonejourner.
Yeah, there we go.
I just don't
I
think
don't even know
Stoney's
what
gonna
it
run
does,
it back, but I can respect the take.
I need to pull up the usage stats. I don't know. Which
Honestly, I don't think anybody else
is.
is gonna be able to run Stoney J like Waka. There's some good reasons for that.
Okay, it's at 5.26, so I'm technically breaking the rules, but I'm gonna say Excalibur.
Oh, Bax. Nice,
Mm-hmm.
nice pick. It is a good pick. I'm glad that you found one that works.
Oh, what about
Um,
Gastrodon? Is Gastrodon above 5?
Gastrodon had
Yes.
a really high usage at Orlando. If you
Oh,
go
okay.
to the non-CP weighted one, it's at like the very top.
Oh, okay.
just gotta
Okay,
look at
never
all the
mind.
teams that
Never
didn't
mind
get
then.
CP to find Gastrodon. Is that
Yeah,
what you're
no,
saying?
13th. It got 13th in
Oh, that's not
non-CP
bad.
weighted.
Not bad.
And
It
where
might
is
have
it
had
in
like
CP weighted? Where is it in CP
27th.
weighted?
Yeah,
That is my least favorite Pokemon. I hate that slug so much. I'm glad it did terrible.
it might have had the lowest
The-
conversion rate of any Pokemon.
Gastrodon is
I think
a
Garganacl was worse off, maybe.
Oh,
Salty.
actually, no, actually, Garganical was awful for cut. It did get CP pretty consistently.
Okay.
I think it has only a 10% or 14 in top 128, so it wasn't actually that bad. But I think a lot of the just everyone went like 7-3 with it, I guess. I yeah, okay. I've got my take. I think that in honor of it being in Australia, Sparta is going to top cut this event. I feel like
Oh, yo, that's a good one.
that just
That's a
feels
good
like
one.
a very
that's
Australia team. I feel like there's like 3 different team building groups in Australia. They're definitely labbing out a Sparta Sandy Shocks and trying to break it. It's just such a classic Australia mod. I don't know what else I'd say about it. And so I just think that that's a Pokemon that I think it's going to see a little more usage at this Internats, and I think it's going to top cut. Someone's going to hit their blind hypnos.
Believe it.
Yo, is it a bad thing to show like my passport number on stream?
You probably
Yeah.
shouldn't.
Okay, cool. Because I have to check into my flight. I'm gonna have to go grab my passport.
You want to start read it out loud?
Yeah. So, really quick, it's 555. Yeah. Anyway, I hope that we met your criteria, Adi. Mine is still mouse. I'm not giving you a better one than that.
No, Freezai. I need your take. What's your hot take?
Oh,
What
did he
Pokemon
say
is it?
Stony J?
Stonejourner.
Oh yeah,
He said
Stone
Stony
Turner.
J.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe it.
Yeah.
I have a team report with Waka coming out. He's going to talk about how Sojourner breaks the metagame sometime this week. So I believe
I saw
it.
that one tweet about Stonejourner and I was sold.
Highest conversion rate in of all Pokemon into top cut.
True.
I've seen 2, cut 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I respect it.
No, his team is actually very cool. Like it does. The fact that you just get to do size spam stuff with like a Life Orb Armorug and just say, actually, I'm like throwing a boost on that as well is just kind of nutty. It does so much. It's like a 1.7x boost if you have a Life Orb plus Stingerner, and then you add Psychic Terrain onto that. It just goes crazy.
I
It's just-
knocked him out in top 16, and he honestly should have won that game. He timed out as he tried to double my Dondozo, and he did not double on Dondozo in Trick Room, so I just got to Earthquake and kill both of his Pokemon.
I think I remember hearing this. Crazy to think that Stony J could have had a deeper run.
I think Stony J could have been to the finals if not for that.
Dang, that's crazy to think.
Okay, so that's our like metagame preview for Oceania Internats. Now let's talk about what everyone is here for, the smart money. So we don't know all the players who are going exactly, but we do know that a bunch of people got travel awards, which makes it a lot easier. And I guess let's just go one at a time and talk about who we think is going to win this event. Who is your smart money for Oceania Internats?
Let's give it to the guests first. Why don't we have Freezai? Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I have my money on Paul Chua. I met him at Orlando, and he drafted me in VGC Premier League one time. So, and he had the vibes of somebody who would win in Australia. So, definitely going to
Nice.
pick Paul.
That's a good pick. That is a good pick.
Wrong choice.
All right, Carson, to you.
I gotta go with my Dondoza brother and chop across the fourth.
Dang, that's mine from last time, Chuppa. And I mean, I did win the smart money pick last time. That's how it shook out.
Yeah. Freezai
And
still
the
How
most
much were you betting on?
consistent NA player this season, I think Chop Cross is looking at a deep run.
Paul, is that true? Are you not going? Oh no! Let me double check the sheet.
I was.
Paul. Oh yeah, Paul did tie. He does have a travel award.
He got the award, yeah. I think.
I believe
I was
Siddharth
gonna
is
bet-
not going.
I was gonna bet money that Paul would win the event, so that's kind of not good for me. I'd go with Choppa then, because Choppa's my pick then.
Chuppa's a good pick. I mean, understandable. Paul, are you actually not going? Are you just
That's
being...
tragic, bro. I bet money on Paul, so it's not great for me then.
Oh,
To be
no.
fair, $1,000 does not cover going to Australia.
It does not. It does not. No.
From the
by
East
no
Coast
means.
especially,
No, I mean,
Aw,
I think
man,
Tickets,
Paul's-
like-
I think
Paul's-
Ink isn't going
Okay.
either. There's a couple people who got that $1,000 who aren't going. I think the other three are, right? You, Alex, you are
Does the
going.
travel prize roll over?
No, and I think you have to attend to get the $1,000.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
lower one.
Oh, okay.
So it shows there that there's the 1,000 and the 3,500. The 3,500, weirdly enough, you would think it'd almost be like flipped or something, but the 3,500 people can just choose to take it, or like a smaller amount of something, money or something, to like just not go. Whereas the thousands, they have to show up and play round one.
is
Um,
Chongjun going?
I think so.
I don't know actually.
I think.
Why do you ask? How did you know that? That was my pick. Chongjun is my pick if he is going. But I don't know. Now I'm worried.
Okay. Then I thought. Okay. So here's the thing. I thought people were going to be picking EU players. If you look at the history of the Oceania Internats, 2017, of course, was won by a
Who
local
looked
player.
at the history, bro? Besides you.
Well, no, because we normally do this. We normally look. We did it for one of the regionals, I guess, for San
We did
Diego.
it for San Diego.
So Zoe Liu won the first ever Oceania Internats, and I think she attended Liverpool, so she might be in England now. But she is a local player, and then the next three were won by Europeans. Yuri won, and then Edu won, and then Marco Fierro won. And so the smart pick, I thought one of you guys would notice this, would be our European player.
God, I'm rolling my eyes so hard now.
However, Europe couldn't even defend their home region. How are they going to go to another internet and win? I don't think it's going to happen. I think that my
Oh.
smart.
Wait, all this to not pick Europe?
Yeah. I thought someone else was going to do it. I had this entire
guy
big
is-
plan.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Too much.
Last for Orlando, I said that this format felt like 2018. I picked Paul Chua because I felt like he was the one of the best players in the world in 2018. This time, I've got another player who was one of the best players in the world in 2018, James Evans. He's been on fire this season. He got top 8 at San Diego and then top 4 at Orlando, which is two really, really impressive performances back to back. I think he got top 8 and top 4, right? And then of course he got the travel award. He's doing really well, been grinding this format, and he did well in a format that feels a lot like this one in 2018. He is my smart money pick. He's already won an Internats. He knows how it's done. So yeah, I'm picking James Evans as my smart money
I'm
pick.
glad that you picked James. James was my backup in case somebody took my pick, but yeah, going with Chongjun. Just hoping the people that we pick show up. I do know that Choppa is going, so you guys are safe now. Can't say anything about the rest though.
I think Choppa's already there, so we're locked in with Choppa.
Yep. Oh wait, you're right.
I'm-
I think Peppa is already there.
I'm changing my answer to Wolf Lick.
He's not
Changing my
going.
So
answer
that
to
is
Wolf
a
Lick.
that is a
Not
At a
going.
wedding,
not
I'm
going.
pretty sure.
Oh, come on! I keep throwing, bro. Okay.
I think Wolf said somewhere, maybe on one of his streams, that he is going to a wedding, so will not be there.
He
Yeah,
just
I
told
was-
me at the event. I was asking because I was trying to figure out
Okay.
who's getting travel awards. He was like, "Yeah, I'm not going."
He said he's not going to EUIC either because he has another wedding.
Oh, all of a sudden the day 2 race gets so much more interesting.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so surprised no one picked any of the European players, but also a lot of the I guess Eric Rios is up here, and he's like the one that you always can expect to win. But some of the other top European players, like Edu, are just not on this list. Like Alex Gomez has historically been someone who shows up to a lot. I mean, I guess Cassie did get second place at World, so he probably should be up there as far as European contenders. But yeah,
My second pick was Oe, so if I didn't pick Choppa, I was gonna go with Oe.
Chubba's gonna pick though.
Yeah, I mean, and then I actually don't even know who's going from LATAM. I know Agati's going. I'm surprised no one picked Agati because he, I'm sure, is fiending for a result after not being able to play at events for so long. And he's been grinding the ladder. I know. So,
Oh yeah, I didn't pick Agati because I thought Carson was gonna pick Agati.
there's so much metagaming.
I think he said earlier or that he might have picked Agati or something. I don't know. Oh well. Funny.
No, I think Agati would have been a really good smart money pick that I decided not to do because I had mine planned out. Yeah, okay. So those are our smart money picks. Apparently, we just are really, really honed in on Chop Across the Fourth as the winner of Oceania Internats, finally breaking that curse of second place finishes and going to win this event.
I believe.
Okay, so moving on to the next topic. That was our Oceania Internats preview. Now, I think we're going to skip the online tournaments. I don't think that, do you guys want to talk about the results of the, Beanie Brawl, Poke Bros, Rose Tower tournaments?
I think the only thing worth mentioning is giving a quick shout out to whoever 200 VGC is for getting the win in Poke Bros, and then showing up the next day and getting second place in the Rose Tower Open. Obviously had a very good weekend of Pokemon with a relatively standard team, just a bunch of good Pokemon. But
okay. I'm gonna pop up.
I think if anything, people going to Oceania, if they're completely lost for a team, look at that because it's got the consistency to make it to the finals of a 400 and 300 something in person event 2 days in a row. That's pretty crazy. Or you just be this person. If you're this person, that's also a good call. It's 200 VGC. I'm just saying, mad respect.
I'm just saying, if I got, I guess this isn't even that much money. They probably only won $500 from these two results. But back in the day, if I won 2 big tournaments online, won a Zelda challenge or something, I would have just said, "Fuck it, I'm feeling good. I'm booking a trip." You can't do that anymore. Everything's capped.
You can't do that for Australia, Adi. Those rules do not apply for Australia. This person is the Canada flag. That is not going to get you to Australia.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I don't know. Maybe from Vancouver. I don't actually know where they're from. I know they're on Team Canada. I see them in the Canada.
And
chat.
yeah, the Nino one was in fact no prize pool. So.
Oh, never mind.
And I think if you get top 4 in the Rose Tower, you got $7, which was pretty.
That's true. You did get $7.
Just give them $7 times 4, the $28. Just split that between top 4, please, or whatever.
Yeah, no, that was funny to see.
That is pretty funny. Yeah. So that's, I guess, the extent. I don't think that these online tournaments. I think that most good players are just not playing in them or kind of keeping this stuff hidden if they are going to Internats. And then Internats is obviously so game changing for the metagame that I'm not so interested in these results. Although it's just always notable when someone has back-to-back performances like that we probably should consider. And it's just a good stuff team. So it turns out that this isn't even Big 5. There's no Arcanine.
No, maybe that's the takeaway. Arcanine dog.
Arcanine's dog.
It's a dog.
True.
You cannot fight me on this take. It is in fact a dog. So yeah, for skipping through these, Adi, I want to go ahead and take us to the discussion questions that we have. We have like a lot of questions
Yeah.
this week and a variety. We'll see how much we get to.
Okay.
But there were some really good responses to Adi's tweet. And so we're actually going to start with one of those.
Yeah. Okay. So Ryan asks, are there VGC side events? What are they like at regionals? If there are none, what types would you like to see? And I think that I elaborated on that, and I'm making it a broader question, which is, what would make VGC events better for spectators and casuals as attendees? And I know I have a lot of opinions about this. I've actually tweeted a lot of opinions about this, but I'm going to let other people answer first. And I think Freezai, as someone who is new to VGC, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do you mean casuals who attend the event or casuals who are watching from home? Because I think there's a different answer for both sets of people.
Casuals who are
probably
attending the events.
Yeah.
Like I think that.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of people who come to events just because they want to go to a Pokemon event, or some people don't play, they just watch. And I've had people tell me that these events are just not very fun as a spectator, even though they are super into VGC. And so I think it's a very valid question to ask. What can we do better? And I'm sure that now that you posted a couple VGC videos and you've been hearing from a lot of your fans who maybe aren't as into VGC, maybe they went to Orlando, maybe they didn't. They've probably given you some feedback about what they want to see. So I'm curious what your opinions are.
So number one is literally knowing the event is there. But for the people who are there, for me, I felt like the streaming, like when they're streaming the game, that should be the main focus. But right now it's kind of like in the corner and you have to know it's there and you have to, literally be there. And, there's not a lot of seating either. It's just kind of, it's like an afterthought almost. So I feel like if the streaming was more of a focal point, it could be better. But beyond that, I'm not actually sure how you make it more interesting other than showing more games on the screen. I don't know how to do it more than that, though.
So I'll go ahead and jump in with my answer here, just to bring it back to give a bit of history. I started in 2014. My first ever actual event was, at the time, U.S. Nationals. They weren't called Internationals yet. U.S. Nationals. I went to that one, and it was just like a casual weekend thing that I did with my brother and my best friend. And we were like, let's go check out like this huge Pokemon get together that's happening in Indianapolis over the weekend. It might have even been 4th of July weekend. I don't know, but we were just like, it looks like a good time. And yeah, so the three of us like went, got a hotel, and like got ready to play in the tournament, which was free. It was a free entry tournament, and they had all of these like cool side events. We played in the main day, and I went like 5-4, and then I showed up the next day because wouldn't you know they were hosting all of these like 8-person pods where like every game that you played, you won a pack of cards. They definitely couldn't get away with that today because of like the madness that is around cards. But yeah, back then you would enter this 8-person pod, get a pack of cards, win, get another pack of cards, win, get another pack of cards, and that was just awesome because it was just like a fun way to like just get more VGC out of the weekend. The other thing about Internats that are different than the regionals is like they have the streams on bigger TVs, so like it was also like a pretty good spectator event. So I don't really know how to fix that for the regional level. Sometimes it might just be hard space wise, and they don't always lug out the big fancy stream setup equipment that they do for the Internats. Like you will see, like it's probably going to be a pretty noticeable level of stream quality difference when it comes to this Oceania Internats. But yeah, I don't know. I think mainly what would make it better is interesting side events. To add one more point on that, they had the multi-battle tournament, which me and my friend entered. I don't know if are multi-battles still in the game. I think they are.
Yes, they are.
Multi-battles, they had the multi-battles tournament, and that was just like a really funny, crazy tournament that is just interesting. We've talked about it, I think, a couple of times. Honestly, maybe not on the podcast here, but it would be cool if they hosted more like fun rule sets as side tournaments at these events. You know, whether it's like banning the top 10 Pokemon like we saw in Series 6 or whatever, or maybe it's some other theme like you have to have like all red, white, and blue Pokemon at the U.S. Nationals or something. You know, just like weird rule sets that you can have fun trying to break open and incentivizes you to build a different team. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point, but basically, when I got into VGC, they had actual things to hook me in. You know.
Just to riff on that a little bit, one of the
Go
most
ahead.
fun events that I've been to that I didn't do well at was Dallas 2019, which was not a super big regional. It was first event of Moon Series, and it was the only time I've ever gotten a team sheet error, and therefore got knocked out pretty quickly. And despite that, I had a lot of fun because of the side events. They had a couple that were really notable. The first is that this was 2019, and they let us play VGC 2018 and 2017 as side events. That is really fun. I don't think anyone wants to go to an event, especially if it's like 10 rounds of Swiss or 9 rounds of Swiss and then day 2 Swiss, and you show up on Sunday and you're not playing day 2 Swiss but your friends are there. You want to play a side event, right? No one wants to play more VGC 2023. We've just been playing that, like Series 2, you know? We just played too much of that. We are tired of that. And so past format side events, most people, obviously it's a little different if you have to bring a different console to the event with you. This was a lot easier when we were using the 3DS for 6 or 8 years or whatever. But playing Series 1 or playing Sword and Shield events would be a really cool side event. And the second one, which is way more impressive, was they had random battles as a side event. And so they had a bunch of 3DSs with games, and they had like 300 fully trained, legitimate Pokemon in those games. Maybe not 300. I don't actually remember how many there were. But they had a bunch of them, and they would just like roll 600 numbers for you and say, okay, box 3, Pokemon 15. That's the first Pokemon in your team. Box 8,
That's incredible.
Pokemon
That
12.
is actually so insane.
And I played those for like the entire day, and it was so much fun. It was incredible. And I mean, I was talking to the side event TO, and they were like, yeah, this took a lot of effort. It took like, I think a lot of the Colorado area players like worked together to get enough Pokemon so that they could actually run this. But it was so much fun. And once you build up that like Pokemon infrastructure database, I guess, that you have on these games, you kind of just have it for all the regionals. And especially now that every single regional is hosted by one of 3 organizers, all 3 organizers really should just have stuff like that ready. Because if you look at the TCG side events, they do have a variety of side events that you can play in, and they all seem really fun. And VGC just does not. It just has 8-man pods, and they're just not the same. So I just think fun side events can make or break a regional, especially if you are a casual, or even if you're like a player who takes it more seriously but does poorly. It's just a great way to continue to enjoy the event when all your friends are still playing.
Carson, do you have a answer to the question? Anything that you want to add?
I know for side events, like, I never played a ton of side events because most of the time, if I get out of the tournament, I usually try to do stuff around the city.
Mhm.
But I did have a lot of fun playing, like, the multi-battle one
Yeah.
at Nats. So I got out, like, day 1, whatever. My friends got out day 1 too. So we just, like, spent that night, like, we were just chilling playing Smash and building stupid multi-battle teams. And then we
Yep.
played the next day, did awful, but I don't know, it was a fun experience. Like
I agree.
building the team, like hanging out that night, and then going into the tournament the next day. Like it was fun. Like even
Me-
if it was bad.
Me and my friend built void cats for one of those, and we made so many people angry in the multi-battle tournament.
We used Oko moves only.
One person like walked away like without signing the slip, and like their teammate had to like deal with that. Like just they were so upset.
Wait,
Even
Freezai,
better
do you
is
know?
I don't want to
Voidcats is?
name.
Oh yeah, everybody knows what Void Cats is. Yeah.
Okay.
I
All the lightning
didn't
strategies.
Freezai put out a video about assist stuff today? Like
Yeah,
yesterday?
it's yesterday. I don't know if you guys play national decks, but basically it's like you have all the Pokemon that were released at some point. Right now, Leopard with Revival Blessing is like dominating the metagame because all it does is just call it again and again and again, and it stalls you out for like 150 turns, and you can't really do anything about it. And
It's
that
so
was the
funny.
meta for a
Definitely,
while.
definitely go watch the video if you want to learn more about it. It was very funny learning about what they're doing over there and why it's just unplayable. It's unplayable. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
One last
I
thing I
am
want to.
very aware.
Okay.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. It was DeWaddleFed, a VGC player, was one of the players that was representing and breaking this assist strategy. Um, yeah, I think that's probably it
Okay.
to answer this question. But
I
yeah,
do have one more story about this, and the reason this is
Yeah.
something that I wanted to bring up was because I worked with another Pokemon YouTuber named Umbreon Libris, is his handle, and he's not super into VGC, but he like watches VGC and he occasionally like interviews VGC players along with the rest of his content to like add a different point of view to his videos, right? And so I've worked with him a couple times, and I met him at Vancouver Regionals because that's where he's from. And he did not play because it's a $70 entry fee, and like it's really hard to justify that if you don't like are not taking this game super seriously. And so yeah, he just showed up as a spectator. He was just lamenting to me like, yeah, I would not do this again. Like I don't think I'm ever going to a VGC event again unless I'm like playing the game, just because it was so boring. He just sat at the stream table and watched, and that's it. And there's not like especially day one, it's not like other people are really hanging out around there. At Vancouver specifically, it was just like really far away from where all the VGC players were, so you'd have to like walk all the way back to the back of the venue to watch the stream. So like pretty empty until Top Cut. And yeah, I don't know, just like when that's the takeaway, especially for people who like really are invested in Pokemon, and that's their takeaway from a regional, it's just really disappointing. So I really hope that this is something that regional organizers and TPCI focuses on. I know that this is not something that's going to make regional organizers specifically money, because well, side events do. They do make money on side events, but like they're not making money on spectator passes really, and they sell out of every event anyways now. So I don't think that they have really an incentive to fix this problem, but I do think for the health of the game, this is something that I would like to see done better.
stream is also just not a very viable option for entertainment, because like when you look at stream downtime, for that's like kind of inevitable. But when you're like at your house, you just go do some other stuff. You play a video game or go cook dinner, then pop back in when the next round's up. What are they gonna do? You just sit in that chair, watch the loading screen where it says like
Yep.
we'll be right back.
I would like to see. I mean, I don't know how feasible this is, but we talked about side tables at Internats, and that would be a really cool way too. I think someone mentioned that in the chat. Side table streams
True.
are very cool at Internats, where they will stream whoever is on the very end of a table, and so especially at day two, it means that you have not just like one high level match going on, but like 6 high level matches going on at this that are all watchable, and people record them so you can watch them later too. And it's just that's a really exciting way.
Shout outs to DeWaddleFed, who we just mentioned earlier, recorded a lot of those at Worlds, just those games at the side tables that, because there's no way to record battles, just lost the time. But Leonard preserving those bits of history, really cool. Just like look back at some like high level, Worlds level games.
Wasn't it like Team Rocket Elite?
Yeah. Randy Qua's brother, I can't remember his name, would record. Oh, is it Jimmy? Maybe it's Jimmy Qua. Would record a lot of the games as well when he was attending. Okay. Should we move on to the next question then, Adi?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so the next question is from our very own Joe Brown, who's going to be commentating Oceania Internats, and he asked us if you could add one Pokemon to the Paldean Dex, who would it be and why? And I think that we're just going to gentleman's out of legendary Pokemon because Tapu Fini would solve the format, and I really want Tapu Fini, but that's a boring answer.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if we let Carson know that ahead of time, so just in case, Carson, if you need a second.
Yeah, go for me last, because I was definitely going to say Tapu Koko.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, we'll have Carson go last. I'll go ahead and kick it off. I don't think anybody's gonna steal mine, but might as well just throw it out there. I'm gonna go with Jellison. Maybe less so in Series 2, but Series 1, I think Jellison could have kicked ass. It's got like pretty cool ability options available to it. Water Absorb would have been a neat tool for Dondozo. And it's just like got really cool typing. It resists like Make It Rain. It's a Trick Room setter. Again, bringing it back to Dondozo. Like it had Strength Sap. Strength Sap would just be such an awesome move for sitting in front of Dondozo and making its life miserable. Yeah, I don't know. Such a, like a unique Pokemon that I think really doesn't shine at the national Dex level, but it would have been so awesome to see at the regional Dex level in this regional Dex. So I'm sad that we missed out on this one. Jellicent would have just been a cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I kind of wanted to really see Mandibuzz come back, because I really hate Spore and Amoonguss and everything, and I would love to have an Overcoat Pokemon. Overcoat, Tailwind, I believe like Foul Play maybe, but literally just having Overcoat, something I want.
No, Mandibuzz is solid, and we saw it a bit in 2017. It was like a good user of like the seed items. It'd be a little bit harder to use Misty Seed without a Pokemon like Tapu Fini, but maybe Indeedee could give it the Psychic Seed. Otherwise, it is just bulky. Probably a little bit weaker in Series 2 as opposed to Series 1, but that's just everything is weaker when you look at the format that allows the 14 570 BST Pokemon. So
Oh wait, can I change my answer? I want to say Shedinja.
no, don't change your answer. You don't get to change your answer. You do not get to change your answer. That's not illegal. Not allowed. Moving on. Oh my god. Adi, do you have your answer?
Yeah, I've been scrolling a little bit because I had one in mind, but it was kind of boring. But I'll go with it anyways. Actually, okay, I might have found a second one. No, that's a
You say Rillaboom Roar, Incineroar.
No,
I'm going to boot you from the call.
I'm stealing John's answer. It's gonna be Ninetales, and I think Ninetales might mean Ninetales Alola and also Ninetales Kanto, but it would be cool to see Ninetales as both a Hail and a Sunsetter. I think the Hail buff really helps Ninetales probably more than Abomasnow because I think has a pretty low defense stat, and so it would actually be like a very bulky Pokemon. Has Remora Veil. That would be really cool to see. It can spam those blizzards at a little bit faster pace. So I would like to see Alolan Ninetales, and then also Cantonian Ninetales is a little bit better of a support Pokemon to activate photosynthesis. It again is a little faster, has like stuff like Hypnosis and stuff, some cool support moves. Will-O-Wisp, fast hit Will-O-Wisp is really good in a metagame with stuff like Iron Hands and Great Tusk. So it does have some really cool tools in this metagame as well. So yeah, I think the Ninetales would be a really cool addition to this metagame, both forms.
Yeah, I've got my answer now.
Let's hear it.
All right.
I'm gonna go with Porygon 2. So, I've been a fan of Porygon 2 for a long time. He's there at a lot of tournaments. And I think it's like one of the few Trick Room setters that can like actually pull off the 2-Mon Trick Room mode. Like right now, I don't think we have any Pokemon that can, like you can have that Mon as the Trick Room setter and a Trick Room sweeper, and it's like contained. Like on your team. I guess you have like Indeedee Armorug, but I really am not a fan of that strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And besides that, like you really just can't have like a Trick Room mode on your team. Like you either have like a hard Indeedee Armorug like Trick Room team, or like it's kind of Trick Room, but it's mostly just to press Expanding Force. And I think that could be pretty fun with like Porygon 2 Torkoal, or like a slow Tyranitar, like with Expand or something as a alternative mode on like a balanced team.
Yeah, I think looking at like the balanced teams, like we saw that one. I think they had Mimikyu, but Mimikyu is just not quite the same. You don't see Trick Room on balance very often because there are just it's kind of strapped for finding Pokemon that can fit in there, I guess.
Yeah, I think Porygon 2 would be a lot of fun with Terra as well. Like,
oh, true.
a Ghost Terra or a Grass Terra, something like that.
Dark Terra, stop the pranksters and boost your foul
Yeah,
play.
it
Ooh.
have a lot of options, and I really like the analytics set I used in 2018 at London. I think that was a lot of fun for like a balanced team where sure you can set up Trick Room, but you can also bring it without the Gigalith and just fire off bolt beams that actually do damage.
Yep. Yeah, Porygon is just such a historically awesome Pokemon in VGC. So definitely missing that guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought of another one that Alex you're gonna enjoy. I think Rajan brought this up, and they said it would solve the format, and he might be wrong, but it'd be cool. Is Alchemy would be a really cool Pokemon, especially in Series 1, or actually even now in Series 2. I know that you are a belly drum hands aficionado, but just imagine you get to sit there and make sure it doesn't go to sleep, and then boost it up with Decorate. Wouldn't that be sick?
My belly drum hands.
Yeah, it's just a nice ride. No, well, not your belly drum hand, just like hands. You know, it's just a
I
fat
don't know,
mom that
Adi.
gets
I
to
feel
click-
like I don't think they let you go to +8, but I'm here to try. I'm down to try.
I don't know. I'm here for Alchemy. I think it'd be pretty cool. And
Very unique Pokemon for sure.
just like another piece of Amoonguss kind of play. But
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, a lot of the suggestions were going to be a Mungus counterplay, huh? Carson wanted to put a Coco in the list. Yeah,
Coco would make
Snorlax is.
Quark Drive spam like really good, but I also love Tapu Koko so much that I'd still pick him.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I
Can you
no,
imagine?
just running Coco plus booster
Coco-
bundle. Sorry, not
Coco
booster bundle.
bundle.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't need booster.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, you
Boost-
get to be
boosted
Sash and boosted.
Yeah.
Coco bundle would be awful. I mean, people already talk about Coco Lucky. This is why I hate talking about national Dex stuff. Is just like it gets worse as it goes on. Regional Dex, the best. Love
Yeah.
it.
Nah, it's all about GS Cup.
And we have that little motorcycle thing that's electric train. That's gonna be fun. In Ubers.
Oh God.
Miraidon. Yeah. No,
Right
I
on,
don't-
yeah.
I don't want to think about those
Wait.
formats.
Okay,
either.
Freezai.
It's
Do
bad.
you play Ubers at all?
I am aware of it, but I don't play it often.
Okay. So I have maybe played. No, I have not thought about GS Cup at all. But thinking about what you know about, because you probably know more about these like crazy legendary Pokemon. What should we? What do we need to know while we're here?
Miraidon is extremely broken, except it's walled by like Tinglu. So, like basically, you need to have a ground type on your team. So, but Miraidon is the real deal. It's incredibly strong. It like does everything. It's really tough to beat.
Yep. And
If you have a ground type, you're fine-ish.
what about Koraidon?
Miraidon doesn't have like the raw power because it's a fighting type on Sun, not electric on electric terrain. It's
Yeah,
still
right.
really good. I don't know. I think it's considered to be overall better because it's not completely walled by ground types. But Miraidon is like pure power, just much stronger.
Mm-hmm. 2 ground types on every team. Yeah, no, I've seen the parabolic charge. Parabolic charge does so much from that Pokemon, and that move is nuts.
Okay,
What is interesting though is doubles OU, like Smogon doubles. Fluttermane Chi-Yu was considered to be really broken. So
Mhm.
might be something to watch out for in Series 3. Just Chi-Yu and Fluttermane.
Oh yeah, I don't want to think about the offense boosting Brew and Mons. There's a reason that those are gonna be both. I think they are both gone in just regular OU now. Like just
Yeah, they're gone in OU, right?
the ruined abilities were not okay.
I mean, that was
Nah.
the go-to back when we didn't know the official format, and we just kind of assumed it was going to be
Right.
they were all going to be legal. Was Fluttermane Chi-Yu, and then Chenpao Dragonite with Terra Normal E-Speed was just kind of everywhere.
so boring. That format sucked. I'm not gonna lie.
It honestly, it's just the ruined Pokemons ruin the game. It's,
Yeah,
is that?
and they're gonna be like assuming they're like gonna be around in future generations. They're just gonna be there and very good in every single format from now on for the rest of VGC. So
Like
enjoy your last
we
month
saw
with them.
Stack Attacka. We saw Stack Attacka do well, and that's like a super gimped version of the ability. With like on a Pokemon that like, well, it's not super gimped. It's actually like a better version, but like on a super gimped Pokemon. But like even that was able to do well,
Oh,
like
World's a stack attacker.
exactly, like I mean, you put it on Pokemon with just 570 base stats, with all like a dark typing, which is like like dark typing is exploitable, but like it also has its benefits. Obviously, you can't prankster those Pokemon, so uh, don't want to think about those guys.
Nope.
Um, so the next question we have here is a bit of a weird one, but it's kind of more targeted towards you, Freezai, and it's just like, have people been asking you any like questions or any like notable things that they've been bringing up now that you like posted your video about you attending a VGC event? And we're just like kind of curious, like what are like, I don't know how maybe Audie can phrase it better.
Yeah.
There, I kind of understood it. So most questions are about me personally, like, am I going to keep doing it? And the answer is, yeah, I will. I've been having a lot of fun doing it.
Yep.
I think there were two interesting questions. The first one is, do you think VGC would be better off if the top players could vote to ban stuff like Smogon? Like, say there exists some way of like filtering players, like maybe top 32 of whatever. They could filter, and you would have like a people who could vote to ban, Chi-Yu if it comes out. Do you think if such a system existed, would VGC be better off than like would it be better off as a format, like more fun to play, etc., like that?
Carson, what's your take?
Honestly, probably. Like, I think some stuff that's fun would get like mob mentalitied and banned, which would suck. But I also think overall it would probably take out more like unfun stuff than it took out fun stuff, like taking out Smeargle in 2016, or I don't know, like Groudon last year maybe, like just stuff that generally wasn't very interesting
You think
or
you banned
fun.
Groudon last year?
Ban Charizard, ban all the G Maxes.
I mean, I
I
said that last time. Yeah.
I definitely would have voted to ban all the G Maxes. I personally would have voted to ban Groudon too, but I don't, probably would have been in the minority. I kind of hate Groudon.
Mhm.
I said it last week, but I'm personally anti-ban, and that's just maybe a bit of a boomer take because it's just always been that way. But like that is kind of the fun part about VGC is just solving the puzzle. Yeah, I kind of just stole it from original name there, or they stole it from me.
Uh,
But who's to say? It's just kind of like a common take that VGC players, I guess, is that like you know they give us the game, and because it's the official rule set, there's obviously that draw to it. Um, because this is what the official people at Game Freak at the Pokemon Company said. Like this is how the game is meant to be played right now, in doubles. And the thing is, the nature of doubles, nothing feels as overly centralizing as it does in singles because of like you have two Pokemon at once that can ideally deal with it. Um, of course, that annoying thing that you maybe are talking about banning, whether it's a ruin Pokemon. Um, I'm just laughing at the. I'm gonna regret saying that when the Gen 11 Pokemon come out. Like, oh god, like we're a bit far away. We're
Yeah.
a bit far away from that. I'm sorry. That's a little ways away. Um, I get that the annoying strong Pokemon like a Chi-Yu gets to have a Flutter Mane next to it too, and so I have to deal with both of those at the same time. I don't know. I think VGC has just always felt like a puzzle, and that like the stuff at the top kind of gets targeted. If everybody wants to beat it, then you're going to have the minds of all of the community looking for ways to deal with it. Then once some tournament comes out and they revealed their strategy to do that, people kind of build upon that. People improve it. People look for other ways that they can implement that. And I don't know. I like that. It just feels like a puzzle is the best way that I think. Yeah, Sudoku Master just says the puzzle's never really like gone solved. Is like the metagames like they always have development to the very end. Especially we have these super short formats. Like that was the thing that was really cool in the old years. Is you had a full year, and as the meta went on, you would see different teams do well and react to the most recent things. I think the bans kind of take that away, but I there have been things that I wish were banned. You know, Smeargle with Dark Void was obviously really annoying to the point that even the like chief organizer of the circuit or whatever was like, "We're looking into it." They didn't do anything. They just said, "We're looking into it," but they left us to fight for it. And I don't know. I mean, Smeargle very oppressive in 2016. Everybody still came up with their own creative answers, whether it was literally running Lum and Chestoberry on your team, or running your own Smeargle with Crafty Shield,
Ran
or
Chest Safeguard.
Safeguard. Like people were running Safeguard. Like you saw the text come out where people were like, "All right, I am willing to give up one of the moves on my Mega Kangaskhan so that I can, be able to deal with a well-supported Smeargle." And you don't get that with bans. I think it just forces creative thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Looks like you're the tiebreaker then, Adi.
Well, yeah, okay. So I have two, I guess, very different opinions on this. The first is that doubles inherently is harder to break just because you have two Pokemon. And so something like Zacian in singles, if you have it on the field and your opponent can't, it gets outsped and gets KO'd with all their Pokemon, they can't do anything. They just lose. In doubles, if your opponent has all their Pokemon outsped and KO'd by Zacian, they're probably not in a great spot. But they can also just sack one of their Pokemon and KO with the other one if they just have two Pokemon that can KO it back, right? And so I think as a result, doubles is inherently more balanced. I think like Pokemon, like I think Mega Blaziken was banned at some point, or just Blaziken with Speed Boost, and that was something that was just like exclusively a crackhead team in VGC for a long time. It was very, very balanced, still very good, but like very balanced. And so stuff like that, it's just harder to break them. That being said, and the other take that I have, that is every single time I've said this to a Smogon player, they have like never wanted to talk to me again. So I'm sorry ahead of time. But
I need to know what this is.
I think that Smogon banned stuff way too quickly, and I've been in I've played Smogon for a while. Like I've been in some of the committees for some. Like I was in like an NU ban committee, whatever it was for one banning. I forget the note that what you're supposed to call them, what the verbiage is, but
You got the suspect.
yeah, I got suspect Rex for it.
Yeah.
And I think it was Combuskin, where no one was using Combuskin, and then all of a sudden one person built a team with Combuskin and like spiked the ladder with it, and then within a week they were like, we're gonna ban this thing because it was like Speed Boost Baton Pass, and I mean I'd played VGC for a little bit at that point, and I was just like, why? Like there are ways to beat this. There are Pokemon that beat this. Yes, it's centralizing. Just build your team better. Just build a team that beats this Pokemon. It's pretty linear. It does one thing. And I was the only person.
I'm gonna have to cancel you.
I was the only person.
Take him out. Take him out.
You're
We've been
gone.
waiting
You're
for
gone.
this.
You're gone. Vote cancel.
I was the only person in that entire suspect test to vote no on the ban. And I was just like, man, like this thing has been in the format for maybe 2 weeks now. Why are you banning it? Like at least give it some time to figure out creative responses. But I think Smogon bans things too quickly. I think Smogon has a very a very narrow view of what Pokemon is supposed to look like, and when you're forced to these baton pass teams are super weird and unorthodox and don't feel like playing Pokemon, so we're just gonna ban them instead of forcing you to respond with some weird counterplay that does exist. Like just put a Parasong Pokemon in your team, And I guess that some of the complaints that we have about Dondozo is that it feels very different. It doesn't feel like playing traditional double battles. It completely warps the game, and it forces you to have very specific targeted hate towards it a lot of times in team building. But also that is just part of VGC, and I think that's what makes VGC fun. And so I really don't think that I definitely don't trust the players to ban. I also don't trust TPCI to ban. If I personally got to ban Pokemon, that'd be cool. But as a community, I don't.
Yeah.
As a community, I think that no, I just don't think that. I think that there are times where over time we're we should really ban this Pokemon, like Smeargle. And I think Smeargle is the only instance where I'm yes, this Pokemon really should not have been in the game. Every other time, I think people have just figured out ways to beat it, and it might take some time. But I don't know. I just look at VGC 2022, which I think was a fun format, and obviously Renya Sun popped off from the very beginning. And if I think that in a Smogon type environment, if one team wins 3 straight majors, they're gonna be like, we're banning the shit out of this team. Like this is it's not okay. But instead, it just like was the best team in the format, and the team had to develop because there was a lot more hate towards it, and people built their teams to beat it, and it ended up being just a fine part of the metagame. And so that's just what I like about VGC, and I would not support bans. All right. Now
Already convinced me. Already convinced me. I'm changing my answer. Good speech.
I think an interesting perspective would be like Smogon doubles does ban stuff. An interesting perspective would be from like someone who plays Smogon doubles and can articulate the difference between why it's okay, like, why people banned in Smogon doubles but not VGC. Like I believe like Animus VGC and like Nick Navarre, they both do both, right? So their opinions might be more helpful here. But for me, it's like I play singles, and that's kind of like what people are accustomed to in a way, because it's like you can manage like something really overpowered, you can, but if the game turns into, you know, like rock paper scissors matchup roulette, or you know, like just hoping you don't lose, or you have to run something really obscure, a lot of people don't like that, even though they know they can play around it. They don't want to, I guess is the right way. But it's kind of like a different perspective, because the idea is that, you know, you're giving Game Freak a lot of credit when you say that they balance Pokemon because they don't know what they're doing. Is kind of the idea behind why Smogon is more comfortable, because you know you shouldn't put that much faith in Game Freak to balance stuff. But yeah,
No, I think that's also a very reasonable take, especially when I mean I think I'm of the opinion that they know about singles, like they are obviously very aware of the large community behind it, but they don't make all of their balanced decisions around the game, and they probably make a lot more balanced choices regarding to VGC, the official circuit, you know? So when they print something that obviously can't be allowed in singles, some of the stuff that they've been banning, like, you know, Shedtail, I know they haven't banned Earthworm yet, but like that does seem like a strategy that is just obnoxious in singles. So
interesting to note that Smogon doubles actually banned Tatsugiri, which
I have thoughts on that. I think that is just very bad. But like, I don't even mean banning like Tatsugiri Dondozo. That's just like, although other people have the take, but like just ban Commander. You know, like that's just dumb. Like, but ban the ability Commander. If there's only a specific ability that triggers this effect, why is Tatsugiri not allowed? Like, I think it's also. Tatsugiri is a relatively interesting water type in a format that has not a lot of them. You know, I mean, now that we have bundled, there's more. But I think the reason we haven't seen a regular old Tatsugiri is because if you're using Tatsugiri, why are you not just using Dondozo? It's a 1-mon addition to give you a very oppressive mode. If Dondozo didn't exist, I think Tatsugiri would see usage in VGC at least a little bit, especially in Series 1. So I think it's just silly that they banned Tatsugiri of all things. Like I'm also of the opinion, like, why didn't they just ban Last Respects instead of Houndstone and Rage Fist instead of Annihilate? I don't remember if that's what they did. Maybe they did ban.
Is there a second Pokemon that gets Last Respects?
There will be.
Oh, there will be.
Yes,
yes. Oh yeah, Basket Legion.
Yes.
Okay, I've got a second take that's gonna make Freezai hate me again. Bring back complex bans. Why ban Tatsugiri when you can just make it so Tatsugiri and Dondozo can't be on the same team? I know that there was...
wait, no, that's... No, just ban Commander. That was way worse than banning Commander. What?
I can't speak for doubles, but for singles, it's like more fundamental. Like Annihilate got banned for being overpowered. The question is, why not just ban Rage Fist? But the idea is that when you look at a Pokemon, like... Say you ban Rage Fist, Annihilate drops to RU or whatever, right? And you see that Annihilate is an RU Pokemon, but it's lost all the meaning because it doesn't have its best move. So the idea is when you look at a Pokemon, that Annihilate is an Uber's Pokemon, you know, okay, Annihilate, for all its merits, is a Uber's Pokemon. When you look at, you know, Girafarig, okay, it's a PU Pokemon on its merits. You're not comparing, like, you have, like, the same standard. You're not comparing Annihilate without Rage Fist versus, you know, Espathra without Calm Mind versus, you know, Blaziken, like, whatever. But the idea is that when you look at a Pokemon, you should be able to see all of it. And they kind of deviate from that when they ban stuff like Moody and, you know, Baton Pass to an extent, but that's the idea, generally, about why they don't do complex bans.
That's a good way to put it.
That
I
makes
have
sense.
not heard
I
that. I have not heard that take yet.
I agree with that. Yeah, no, I definitely think that that makes sense. I was thinking more along the lines of like how they banned Swift Swim plus Drizzle back in Gen 5, which is around the time that I quit playing singles. But
Okay.
that,
Yeah, that like decisions from like 10 years ago, I can't comment too much on, but yeah.
Wow, Robbie, you are ancient.
yeah, no, I played
Yeah.
singles from
Yeah, yeah.
2009 till 2014, and I think 2014 was that suspect test, and then I stopped. But I
I
did
was
I
also
did
a
take
single
a break.
player.
I did take a break during Black and White and didn't play Pokemon, so played Yu-Gi-Oh instead.
Yeah, the fundamental reason is that seeing Annihilate in RU without Rage Fist like loses the meaning of like the whole tiering idea because there's no meaning after that if you're like nerfing everything. But yeah.
So I guess
That is
to
funky.
answer your or to what was your opinion on should VGC have bans?
I am completely neutral. I guess it's fine in doubles. I wouldn't say I'm experienced enough to have a real opinion. So I'm like completely like true neutral on it. Yeah.
I could respect it. I could respect it.
All right. So I guess you said you had a second question that your viewers were asking.
Oh yeah, this is an interesting one. Who's better, Smogon players or VGC players? And the argument for Smogon is that to be the best OU player, because it's more accessible, you have to be the best player out of tens of thousands of people. But to be the best VGC player, you only have to be better than the people who can afford to go to tournaments and fly out, and basically because there's more competition to be the best OU player than there is to be the best VGC player. And obviously the opposite is that a VGC is official, better players are going to play VGC than OU. Like there's like the arguments are there, but that's the question. Who's better overall, Smogon players or VGC players?
I'll come out with the angry VGC player take and say that we're better. We're easily better. But I think my take on that is I think doubles is a more complex game. And so like I'm not going to say that it's like a huge gap. I think I would give it to doubles just because the like the games the team building feels a lot more. I don't know. It just is so much more interesting all that goes into every turn of doubles. I know that the games are shorter, and so there's not a lot of there's not as much room to express skill, I guess, in Smogon. You don't get to switch 25 times in a row before wasting a single PP of their move. That's like super interesting. I love that. That's like really cool skill expression. But jokes aside, like. I just think that that doubles has more complexity to it, and so somebody that is able to consistently do well in a game that has that level of complexity just shows a bit more skill to me. But I'm going to say that I'm absolutely biased because I think singles is boring, and this is coming from somebody who watches Pokegame like every night. Like I just I watch it to go to bed. Like it is like it's just I don't know.
Yeah, I expect every answer to be biased here, but yeah, like not in a bad way, but in like everyone has
Yeah.
their opinion. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Carson, what do you think?
I think VGC is a lot harder than singles, personally. I just think on any given singles turn, I forget what the statistic is. I know someone's posted on Twitter before. There's like X number of things that can happen, and in VGC, the number is like 100 or 1,000 times higher.
Mhm.
And I think that means you have to be a much sharper player to perform consistently. And I think that's also why, like, if you look at GXCs on the ladder, like, singles GXCs are really high compared to VGC, just because, like, there's not that many things that can happen on a single turn of a singles match. So it's like there's just such a lower skill ceiling because you can kind of get to a point where you can generally cover for most things that'll happen on a turn versus a player worse than you. And in VGC, I feel like you can never, like almost never get to that point. And like once you get to that point, if it's possible in VGC, you would be like far and away the greatest player. And I don't know.
Okay, but doesn't that mean that I almost mean that I almost think that that means like singles is more skill expressive then, if that's the argument, because VGC you can never like solve a game state, you can never solve a game, and in singles you can't.
I guess that it also depends on what are your definitions of skill. Do you consider reading a person a skill? Because, somebody like, again, I always use Emilio as the example. Emilio's played a lot of ladder games, and in those situations where it's like rock, paper, scissors, it's not exactly a rock, paper, scissors. It's a weighted rock, paper, scissors because Emilio gets to that position. Carson's also kind of a ladder hero, and I think he does this a bit too. Um, you know, you're like, okay, yeah, no, they're going to protect the right slot because I don't know. Everybody that played on ladder was they just kept protecting that right slot for some reason. So I'm going to double the other one. And then that person that got called out was like, they just always get the reads right. And it's like, yeah, I get the reads right, but because you are playing along, you're following these tendencies that everybody else that plays those type of teams has. And you could also just say like being good at rock paper scissors isn't like a very valuable skill. Sure. And maybe that's like where the argument gets kind of foggy, hard to like draw the line. But I think that there is a skill in reading players, and that's where I stand on it.
I agree with that, and I think to answer your question, Audie, because VGC has such a higher skill ceiling, I think even though, like, sure, the better player wins versus a worse player more often in singles than in doubles, because the skill ceiling is so much higher, I think there's just so much more opportunity to like get better and grow and like have like complex thought leading to your wins. And like we've obviously seen players that like put a ton of thought into the game do extremely low. Like Wolf is known for using like thinker type teams where like the Parish Trap team he just used that most people can't use and doing like amazingly. Like I think he's won what 8 regionals now, 7 regionals.
7.
Like that's an insane statistic for just like a single player. And I think VGC is a bit off topic for the question, but VGC to me is just so much more interesting in that regard because there's so much room to get better. Like I know in my top 8 set versus Ashton, I lost off a muddy water miss and then a crunch defense drop, and I was like super mad at the game. And then I spent like the next day thinking about it, and I realized there was like a 4-turn complex series of moves that I didn't think about in the moment that I could have done that would have given me a guaranteed win, but I just totally missed it because it was like so many steps down the line and so many different moving parts that in the 45 seconds I had to make that decision, I couldn't think of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so real.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm glad that Carson mentioned timer because like Freezai, what do they normally do for timer in the higher level Smogon games?
I believe it's like I don't know the exact details, but it's much larger. I think it's like 5 minutes and it keeps ticking down. Like you get 30 seconds per turn, but it's something like you start off with 5 minutes and then as you go down you don't get it back, but you gain 30 seconds per turn, something like that. But I have had issues with the timer in VGC. Like being able to think through my moves, I have had issues with that, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's like, I think that goes to like what Carson was saying is that, yeah, VGC is a really complicated game. The timer, like it is computationally difficult because of the number of possible decisions that you can make and the fact that everything is simultaneous. It and just like game theory inherently is a very computationally difficult problem. And no one is ever going to be able to like fully solve VGC. Not to say that you can fully solve singles, but I've thought about this more about VGC. And as a result, the limitation is the timer. And no, like I do agree that VGC has a higher skill ceiling. It's just that it is limited. Like the level that you can get to is limited by like the abilities of the human brain in 45 seconds. And that's kind of like, so like I do think that overall there is a higher skill ceiling in VGC. That being said, it tests very different things, right? Because VGC games last, maybe 10 turns. Smogon games will last 400 turns sometimes. More commonly, they'll last like 50 to 100 turns, right? And so it tests like long-term game planning a lot more, where in VGC, you have to think maybe 3 or 4 turns ahead. You rarely have to, you have to think about like your end game, but you don't have to think that far ahead. Whereas I've seen like Nails play like singles games from RBY where his win con is literally like PP stalling or like trying to get a freeze over the course of his like all of his ice beam PP or whatever it is. Like that is a way of thinking about the game that we don't have to do, but is such a like a different way, a different approach. And it just tests very different things. So I like,
Yeah,
I guess,
like,
go ahead.
but I was gonna say, like, I agree that in the moment, like per turn, there's a lot more going on in VGC, definitely. But in singles, your decision on turn 4 is affecting turn 44, and you have to be able to understand that long-term game plan, which you may not necessarily have to do in doubles. So for me, it's more, I wouldn't call one more difficult than the other. It's just different skill sets to me. But yeah, you can continue.
I was just gonna deviate a little bit to a more abstract version of the question, which is that I think that the player base is just always a bell curve, right? There's always going to be. Let me pull that up in case you don't know. I imagine most people on call know, but it's a bell curve, right? There's going to be a big number of people who are average, and then a lot of people, a small percentage at the top and a small percentage at the bottom, and it's really hard for me to say like, are the best players in Smogon better than the best players in VGC? Because you're talking about like a fraction of a percent and how far along that tail you can go. And so, no, I don't know if Wolf is better than the best singles players. But that's just when you're talking about like the like crazy good players. And it's a lot easier to look at, say, the top 10% of players and say who's better. And I do respect the argument that there are more singles players. It's more accessible. I got into Pokemon through singles because I lived in India and I did not have access to VGC events. And even when I like started getting into VGC, I lived in rural Minnesota and I couldn't go to regionals. And so it made it a lot less accessible. And I think there are probably a lot of people who are really good at Pokemon who would not get into VGC either because they live in areas that don't have tournaments or they aren't in the right financial situation to go to events. And that does suck. And that is a limiting factor. On the other hand, the fact that Smogon is so open access also means that there are a lot of really bad Smogon players. And that is why you see those crazy GXEs on Smogon ladders, on like OU ladders, because the average player who plays on the Smogon ladder or, plays in a open or whatever, kind of sucks. They're like pretty awful. And in VGC, maybe not at an 800 person regional, but at some of the like smaller regionals we've had where it's 100, 150 people, even maybe even smaller than that, every single person there has grinded the format and is super good. And so I've played in VGC tournaments that are way more competitive because everyone is willing to pay $70 to play in a tournament and play in a game that they don't necessarily even enjoy that much. And so I don't know.
We talked about entry fees earlier, and I said that I had a great time playing at my first tournament because there was no entry fees. With the addition of entry fees, the skill cap does definitely go up. I am playing against real teams every round of the tournament that I'm playing in. Whether or not those players have a skill that can match mine is a different question. But the teams are a lot more real. Like sometimes you would go to a regional and you would be in the top cut, fighting against Wolf, but your round one was against somebody using 6 EVs because they just, they're like a local from the town. And they were like, you know what? There's a Pokemon regional. That's basically a Pokemon convention. I'm just going to load up this 6 EVs team that I've been working on, to beat my friends. And I'm going to have a good time with it. And, those people with their in-game teams, you see them a lot less.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Unless you're Carson. I think Carson said he played an in-game team in Orlando.
I did play an in-game team.
Nice.
I mean, I don't know if it was actually an in-game team. Like, they were all, like, Mons that are probably in the top 30 of usage, but, like, it was Choice, Scarf, Palafin without Wave Crash. Like, I don't think that's a real set.
Sure, yeah.
All right. Freezai, what's your opinion? Who's better, Smogon or VGC players?
Didn't he already answer?
Did you?
I guess I'm saying Smogon because I think it's a numbers game. Like, just like there's more people overall, so I think like there's more people. There's more good people too. There's more great people like that. There's also more bad people, but I think there's a lot more really really good Smogon players.
Oh, for sure. When Adi was saying that, there's a lot more bad people, I was like, I don't know, it kind of just goes both ways. Like, when you're at the high ladder, it's not like you're going to be playing against somebody with the Pikachu, on their team. Um,
Yeah.
the high ladder is going to be popular players, and that means you have to beat a variety of people who approach the game in different ways. So that's something worth noting in favor of the Smogon side. But I'm still here to say that VGC is so much better. Oh, yeah, you will not hear me backing up Smogon again.
VGC is objectively more fun, and that's the important thing. And by objectively, I mean subjectively. But by subjectively,
Also,
I mean objectively.
let's bring it down to the spectator level. Come on, people want to watch VGC.
I do
Oh
think
yeah,
people wanna
without a
watch-
doubt, I think spectating VGC is better. But
I do think, yeah, no, I can't imagine watching a Smogon game on cartridge, even if they had unlimited timer. It would just, it would just go on
it would be
forever.
awful.
Okay, yeah, well, in card, like with animations on,
cartridge,
you
definitely.
would lose your
Yeah.
brain.
It would be awful. It would be awful. Yeah, you need skip animations, but yeah.
One thing I think about Smogon versus VGC as well is that VGC has a prize pool and Smogon doesn't, and I think
That's true. That's
having
true.
a prize pool incentivizes better players to come over and play VGC. Like personally, I never even considered playing Smogon just because there was no prize pool, and I was like, why would I spend all this time grinding out a competitive game when like what am I going for? Just like first on the Pokemon
You
Showdown
get a
ladder?
custom avatar in Showdown.
Wow, like so cool. And now everyone knows who my ult is. Like
That's right. Yeah, true.
like I didn't see like the reward for being good at OU, and so I was attracted to VGC because it feels like you're grinding for a reason. Like you go to a tournament, and when you're doing good, you get money, you get packs, you get to get flown out to the next tournament, you get on stream in front of all these people, like you get rewards and recognition for being good that I don't think you get with Smogon.
Cloud.
Yeah, that's-
Cloud is real.
Okay. I guess that's going to wrap up that discussion. We've got a couple quick questions. The first from Alex saying, does wearing a hat help you focus?
That was a response to isn't it? Oh wait, me, Alex, or a different Alex?
I think it was you, right? I don't think anyone asked that.
No. It was a response to. It was a response to my tweet.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I didn't add these questions. Hold on, let me go credit this hat
Wait, really?
question to the person who asked the hat question. Wait. Oh, I skipped it. I got to show more replies.
I don't want to open all the accounts I've muted because I don't want people to know that I muted them.
Blake. This is from Blake. This is from Blake Silver 5. Says this might be an interesting topic, maybe not. Since y'all have gone to many in-person events, do you think wearing a hat forwards during battle helps you at all? I found it helped me narrow my focus just on my switch in front of me and somewhat block out my surroundings. I think it's a good question, Blake. I'm not trying to poke too much fun at you. I just think it's funny to bring the top players together to say, hey guys, should we wear hats? And you know what? I wore a hat at the event. I wore my my
too.
bucket hat. You wore a hat
I wore
too?
a hat
Yeah,
too.
let's go.
Yeah.
And are you pro hat? Are you pro hat? Do you think it's helping your game?
I'm pro hat for sure.
All right, there we go.
Would you say it helps you focus?
I don't know if I can say that, but I did wear a hat though.
I got the photo up of Alex wearing a hat.
If we're running through these really quick, then somebody said they wanted a breakdown of let me find it. They said they wanted us to break down the top Pokemon, and I was like, no, I do not want to do that.
Nope.
But they said, hey, do you want to break down the top snacks? And I was like, yes, I do want to do that.
Oh, that's related to a question that Rob asked us that I feel like we have to respond to.
Yeah, that one's next. Oh,
okay.
So this one's from Andy Bakes YT, who says, I think a breakdown of the top 12 most popular Mons at Orlando. Also, please break down the best snacks and the best post-regional food. And so for the best snacks, I think that it really depends on, what you can bring with you when you're traveling, especially flying. It might be harder. But I'm a big fan of just some kind of granola bar. I do like a peanut butter bar if I was trying to just keep myself going. As for the best post-regional food, it's whatever's still open at 11:45 when the tournament finishes.
Yeah.
I I strongly believe in my regional routine, at least, is coffee gets me going. I normally drink 1 cup of coffee a day, and hey, there's a friend. And I will drink maybe 3 or 4 cups during a regional. I mean, I drink I think 4 at San Diego because I went to in Orlando because it just went so late. But for a normal event, I probably drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee, and I also think that sugar is really useful because sugar gives you that short-term burst of energy and keeps your neurons firing and whatever. I'm not a biologist, but my dad's a biologist, and I asked him, I was like, yeah, I need coffee for the next 3 rounds. And he was like, no, this is for Players Cup or something. And he was like, no, you don't need coffee, you need sugar. Sugar is going to get you going. I was like, oh, okay. So now I always have granola bars because they are a good sustenance food to keep you it was basically my dinner at Orlando. It just fills you up and is reasonably healthy. I have gummy worms for immediate sugar that that's my PED. I'll throw some gummy worms in my mouth before a round to make sure I have that energy boost right away. Get me through team preview, and then I'll have coffee, and that's my 3 regional snacks.
Honestly, I'm I haven't thought about it in a VGC context, but I'm pretty into weightlifting, and a big thing is using gummy bears or similar super fast sugars. I know some people do honey as well when they don't want processed sugars, to get a glucose spike right before a big lift. And so I think that's a interesting thing to apply to VGC, just a glucose spike right before every round, just to kind of keep your energy at a high.
We can't talk about gummy worms without me fishing out some gummy worms.
Nice.
All right, Freezai, how did you get through the 10 rounds at Orlando?
I don't drink coffee, so I was just trying to stick to natural food. So for me, it was mainly granola bars for energy if I needed it. But yeah.
Yep. No, that's real. I also don't drink coffee. All right, now this last question, I think we're gonna have to come back to another time. We keep getting asked though, so I will mention it. I think this one's from Secret Key, who said, "How much of the meta is actually being decided behind closed Discord servers?" And I think that you're gonna have to subscribe and join.
Come back for the Patreon episode.
Yes.
If
you want the answer to that one? If you wanted the answer to that one, feel free to subscribe and send us a DM with a picture of your paid subscription, and we'll go ahead and clue you in.
I'll let you know
how much we're pulling the strings of the VGC metagame, but we'll come back to this
Master.
Every player has a price. If you pay me enough money, I will tell you what my regional team is.
Right?
Yeah.
You pay me enough money, I might give it to you.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll give you the document that I have that tells you exactly how I approach every matchup, which you might just get for free. It might also be pretty cheap. You never know. We'll see. Okay. We have one question that I've had on screen for quite a bit, and we never answered it. So we're gonna talk to that, which is we got to rank the following fruits: strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries. Carson, what's your ranking?
Raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries.
All right.
They're all good. I like all of them.
Freezai, rank them.
Number 1, blueberries. 2, strawberries. 3, blackberries. 4, raspberries.
Oh, we got a raspberry hater. I can't believe it.
Pretty close to me, but blueberries number 1, strawberries close second, fall quite a little bit for raspberries, fall a lot for blackberries. Ugh.
Wow. Okay. I'm the opposite. I've got raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, blueberries. And I will agree with Carson. I think they're all very good, but I love the texture of raspberries and blackberries. And
I knew there was a reason Nadia and I didn't get along. We have finally gotten to the center of it.
Yeah. Okay. So, Rob, I hope you see this. I know you've been waiting for us to respond to this. Okay. But those, I think, were all the questions that we had listed on the Tub Takes. So, yeah, just to finish up, we, of course, if you have any questions that you want answered, feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube video that is coming out on Wednesday at youtube.com/CK49. That is my YouTube channel. And yeah, or just tweet at us or post right now, and we may or may not get to it, but we probably will get to it next time. And yeah, I have all of these guys' socials, Twitter accounts on screen right now. You should go subscribe to Freezai on YouTube. That's not it. Here it is. Freezai on YouTube. He's making some great content. He just made. You should go watch his VGC video because it was actually really really well done. And I love it when people bring cameras into VGC events and just kind of show what the experience is all about. It was a really cool video. So yeah, go subscribe to Freezai as well. And I guess, do we have anything else we got to talk about, or do we want to do shout outs?
I mean, if there's any shout outs you guys want, feel free to plug them. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't got anything to plug except this Twitch account, and my Twitter, which is on the screen.
Carson?
I've got nothing.
All right. Freeza, anything else you want to plug besides your channel and your Twitter?
No, I'm good.
All right. I don't know
All
why
right.
Adi asked the question. It was pretty obvious that there was no other answer to that. So.
You know, it's on the list of things I have to mention, so I mentioned it. Okay, you made the list. It's not my fault.
All right, well then go ahead. If you're following the list that strictly, then come up with something witty.
Come up with something witty.